Okay, we're officially being recorded.
Yay. Thanks.
So I didn't really mean all that stuff I said about all that.
Sorry.
Well, you weren't being recorded before, now we are.
Alright. I may not do. Alright. Yeah, well, good. Alright, so. These I can see. You know, my computers don't know you to the glasses. But I think you only open my glasses on. Okay. Everybody ready to take a deep breath?
That's as easy.
I hope so. Let's make it history. Let's make history tonight.
Move to adjourn?
Not quite that easy, but maybe we can.
Yes.
These
These are each individual reviews.
So-
These are my reviews.
Yeah, what we ask, we'll call a meeting to order, we do the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we noticed the meeting, Lois just told me we did, so we got the meeting notice. I'm going to ask you guys to start, I'd like to give a written statement, make it part of the minutes, if you would just give me a minute or so. I just want to make sure I made it clear before I wrote it. I want to say, it's kind of be directed, with the only advisory committee here, but you're.
No, there's more.
Oh, yeah, you're
Phil?
advisory committee. And you're,
There's
oh,
all
okay.
four are represented.
Oh, cool. There you go. I was thinking.
Oh,
It
I
wasn't
thought that
the
John's
board of the board, so I was looking for others. Okay, that
This
works.
is entered in the record.
Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, everybody's here.
Is
Oh,
there anybody here from Fix-Up?
There we go.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, I want to go.
Fantastic.
So I was once again disappointed at the scope of reviews I received from the advisory committees for our directors. Like each of the previous 6 years I've been on the board, the reviews seem more like sales pitches than true reviews. Despite all the direction and requests from the board to have more realistic reviews, the reviews were more of the same. So I spent quite a long time contemplating the issue. And I came up with, why do advisory committees continue to give us this? As I thought about it, one conclusion I came to was the committees feel, at least that's how I felt, that the board does not appreciate the quality and quantity of work the directors produce year after year. Therefore, they continue to need to impress this fact upon the board through the reviews. So therefore, I spent a considerable amount of time researching the issue, both through reviewing neighboring communities and by asking detailed questions of our directors, which they were very kind to give me a lot of information. I discovered that our directors do go above and beyond the scope of their jobs and are not compensated nor acknowledged for the jobs they do. I believe this is what the advisory committees are trying to tell us. Unfortunately, each review period, we have pitted one director against another by comparing them to each other. And that's like comparing apples to oranges. I'm asking each of the board today to not compare our directors to each other. Instead, let's evaluate each director as an individual person with a unique job under the Fixer umbrella. If we do any comparisons, let's look at the jobs done in our neighboring communities, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, Oldmont, and what a particular job description in that community consists of, and how that director is compensated. I'm also asking us to leave out personal relationships, whether good or bad, out of the decision-making process. If we're good friends or acquaintances with the director, it does not give us license to view the director in a favorable light. Contrary, if we're not friendly, to view the director as unfavorable for any personal reasons. I've printed out what I believe to be close comparisons in neighboring communities to our directors, and you can all look at them for your perusal. I believe we can change the course of FICSA by understanding the message that the advisory committees keep trying to send us. Look deeply at the work the directors do and acknowledge their great work. Our challenge is to do so, and at the same time, look at how they can improve, set goals that will enhance the services they give to our community, and at the same time, let's compensate them fairly for the work they do. And I want to thank all of you for giving me the time to express my sincere opinion on the task before us. And now it's up to you guys. Have your say.
I want to just kind of back on that. I have noticed that it has pitted director against director in the past. And we can't. Sandy's absolutely right. When I looked at these reviews, I looked at them as an individual. I looked at each one of our directors as an individual person, and I've looked at their strengths and their weaknesses. And I've looked at, I was just telling Ron, I actually printed out each and every one, attached their thing, and I've been going through these. So I even have questions to go through and things like that with everything. You know, I reviewed our responses, which I thought was a good ad this year. I was a little hesitant at first, but I thought it was a good ad. I really like the fact that the directors review themselves, the self-evaluation. The quality of some of them, though, I question. You know, and I'll talk about it when we go through each one, but some were really good, some were very humble, some were not in the way that I would hope that they would have graded themselves. So I agree. We need to look at everybody individually and just have.
If I may, you know, the other thing, I knew what the evaluations were going to be before we even started them. You know, I knew there was going to be 4 5s and 4 7s for everyone except for Matthew, because again, he had a 3.25. And literally 3, he's doing the job. He's meeting the objectives. And so I think from all of us doing the evaluation, I think there's gaps there. Because you guys are saying that everyone's walking on water. Literally, you're above, you're achieving beyond what the scope is. You're in 1% of the population. Maybe that group, maybe all the directors are. You know, but it's just interesting. I think when you look at the gap, you know, every year over year over year, all the directors are 4 5, 4 6, 4 7s. It's consistent. And so if that's consistent, so you know, maybe we have to have more discussions around the evaluation process. Maybe we take the scoring off for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Because the values maybe don't mean anything anymore. You know, I do agree with your approach. It says, really, what are the objectives for this next year coming up? And what did I miss this year? Those are the 2 big things I was kind of beating the drum on. You seeing you doing the same thing. Because again, what do I measure my performance again next year? This coming year, this fiscal year. I mean, that's really what's very important to me. And I'm not sure if we're really getting that information. Because I looked at kind of what are the objectives for next year. One line. And, you know, and again, even with Matthew, there was a handful of things, but he was looking at the operational plan versus what his the vital few things he wanted for an objective standpoint. And so there may be some fine tuning that you may be able to help us with as we go forward on that one. But overall, though, I mean, I think we're at a good place to start to reevaluate what the process is. You know, there's no ownership. I think there's a couple of things we should be doing, but at the end of the day, I think we're moving forward with this process. And the more we do that, the better off we're going to be with fair and objective evaluations. If everybody's under, you know, if we have to do, salary surveys every year, you know, the only risk of that one is that, where are the salaries? As long as we're consistently comparing where the salaries are coming from, there may be some consistency to it. But again, if we're handpicking, different operations on a yearly basis, we could say, well, we're $20,000 under budget, where we should be. And that there's always a risk doing that. And you know that, I mean, literally, when we do the evaluation, are we private, are we comparing similar entities, if you will? And if the answer is yes on that, then we should get, if we're under salary, and hopefully we can do something about it. I agree with you on that one. Because that's been the challenge for a lot of the advisory boards over the past when it came to raises. Handful of us, Phil and I, we followed the rules for a couple of years. It was a penalty because of it. I remember Gene 2 years ago. The message was 3% increases. We gave a 3% increase. We come to the meeting, everyone else would give a 4 or 5% increase. Where did that come from? Or more. And then you had the same thing last year from America. So it's just interesting. So how do we frame that tighter, better, and the compensation, I know that's phase 2 of it, but that's an integral part of this thing.
Again, we shouldn't be comparing them against each other.
No. It's against the requirements. You're absolutely right. But everybody's in the same salary range. Everybody's in the same salary range.
Smartphone connected.
So,
No, I
I'm
was,
gonna say, you go first.
I was just gonna say, as the only non-FICSA reporting person here, I agree with you. However, I also think that this year's review process is totally trending in the right direction. I think there was, honestly, cannot be more pleased that this was looked at seriously. Tweaks were made. I mean, I asked my board for feedback, what went well, what could be better. And I think everybody has optimism that this is tracking in the right direction. So the feedback that you provided is completely on the mark, but between our review, getting the directors to provide their review, getting you as directors to put your reviews in, hopefully you guys are equipped to make some intelligent choices. I agree with you. I think there's some great inflation.
Yeah.
But I also think too, there's opportunities to kind of normalize that. Because I knew what you were trying to do months ago with regards to the bell curve, right? You come from an HR background. But I don't know if that was fully conveyed. And I think just with my board alone, people didn't understand what it meant.
Yeah.
What a role model really means in this situation. So I think there's opportunities to improve on that. But actually, our scores kind of came down this year. Because it was, at least for some of us, a little bit more introspective. Hey, are we really kind of doing this? So I appreciate the work that you guys have done this year, and I think there's more opportunity to grow on this.
So I'll go another direction. I disagree with what you say.
Okay.
Because my board did not compare anybody else except for the last comment that was made. No, this is what you said. You said that we compared other directors. We did not. In fact, we took it and we took it seriously. Like you're saying, I think we had a better review process this year than we've ever had. And I do think we're moving in the right direction. However, board, me included, we did not give the advisory boards any other kind of review option than what we've given them in the last 6 years. Okay, it's the same thing. It's numbers 1 through 5, and it's the same freaking questions. The only thing that we got more serious about is we wanted, and I made all my advisory board members give me a full description of what they thought of the director, of Erica. What had she done? Her performance within each of the categories. And our responses were a lot more thorough in her review. If you're going to ask me that we should have leveled it down to 3 for her, no, I'm not gonna, because her performance, if you give me role model, highly effective, or just effective, and then go down below that, it's needs improvement or unacceptable. It's not going to be unacceptable. It's not going to be needs improvement. She's not middle of the road effective. She's highly effective, or she's a role model in the performance that she does. She's asked to do more things, and this is what we're going to talk about when we get to her in her review. She's asked to do more things than any other director within a fixed organization on a daily basis.
When I said that they were compared against each other, I meant the FICSA board, not the advisory committee.
You said advisory committee for directors.
Well,
And that's the way your direction was going, is that it was the advisory boards that you were not happy with the reviews you got back from.
well,
the
at
advisory
first time I really looked at all the high scores, is how I felt. But then like I said, my whole idea was we as the board were not listening as much to the advisory boards as we should have.
Well, you said that you felt the advisory boards give such glowing reviews because you felt that the FICSA board doesn't understand what each of those directors do. And you know what? the advisory board does take that opinion because they don't think you know what their directors do. So that's what they have to do. If you aren't giving your honest opinion about your director to the advisory board, telling us what you think of that person, yeah, I mean, each of my individual advisory board members don't think that any of you really know what Erica does. And that's the opinion they've got to have.
And that's, yeah, and that's.
But that's the opinion they have to have going into this. We aren't telling them any different. We're saying, here's the review process, here are the questions, tell us what you think of it.
I wouldn't want any advisory board members making an assumption of what I do or know.
No, but we're asking them.
You're right, no, I agree. I want them to present all that information to me as if I was fresh off the boat.
Because this, not only is this coming to us, it's also being filed as a public record for the Board of County Commissioners to look at, and they don't know, I mean, unless they're involved. So I think we're getting exactly what we're asking for. I'm not disappointed in it at all. From any of me, I read all the reviews directly. I think they were all the right thing. And I think we're getting better in our format, but we haven't changed it. It's still the same thing. We just have better dates on it, and we made each one of us, give a response.
We're definitely making a lot of progress.
Yeah.
From last year, are you kidding me?
We're sitting here like,
That's like
this is
a mess. It's going sideways, we're.
So I just didn't understand, Sandy, where you were coming from with your letter,
Well,
because your letter was extremely negative, and that you're still disappointed, and I'm here going,
well, I said
I'm happy.
initially I was disappointed, and then I went on to say that I started trying to understand where the advisory boards came to us as, that they keep telling us that because they're not seeing us come back and say, we get what you're saying, how good they do. The board doesn't make that clear back to the
but
advisory
even at that point, even if the advisory board knows that we know, they can go change nothing because we're asking them to review them and give them so we're definitely going to come back with a high-end review because that's what we think.
It wouldn't be employed if those numbers weren't high anyway. There's
Yeah.
4 positions that require exceeding their job descriptions every
Yes,
single
that's
day.
what-
And that's
they-
required of them. And that's the personalities we bought into to get those 4 positions.
So we hired those
They're
4
gonna be
people.
high. They're gonna be high. So how do you get more juice out of that? Squeeze as much as you can of the advisory board, you go to the floor. Go ahead.
No, just, because the four is superior, the thing I struggle with, performance is continual, consistent, and superior, and regular goes beyond what is expected. If you can't put on here what is expected, these are my expected, these are the goals I'm trying to do, how do I know I'm achieving, I'm going beyond those. They're saying we're consistently beyond what's expected. If the job is always expected, I'm maintaining my day-to-day operational thing, okay, the bar is real low. I'm constantly exceeding it, I get that. But that's the only change we've done on it. What is the expectations and how do we measure that?
Maybe the expectation is to go above and beyond every single day, so you need to rewrite that question.
Well,
Because it's, of course they are,
And
and
that's the part of it, hopefully we have another workshop to reevaluate,
Right.
not only some of these questions and some of the definitions here. Because that's the only one I'm struggling with, to be honest with you, because I look at Matthew, he's fully meeting everything we threw at him. We had the goals, we had the objectives, and he's met, he's slightly exceeded where we were at. He is okay, 3.25. Is he consistently going beyond what is expected?
you hope so.
Hopefully, the advisory boards are defining what is expected on a day-to-day basis, guys. And yes, I can measure your performance, you're going beyond that.
well,
And these are the objectives, this is how I'm gonna write it down. These are the 10 things you went up and beyond the call of duty on. If you're not writing it down or capturing it, I don't know how we can fairly evaluate somebody. That's somebody, I'm not sorry for preaching.
No, it's fine.
And that's hopefully in January, February, when we reevaluate the whole process, at some point. But anyways.
Well, my conclusion came when I went through it all, and I went back and I looked at the areas, neighboring cities. I came across that all of our directors are undercompensated and underappreciated. Because when I looked at, what we're doing, what they're getting in other, I used Oldsmar, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs. I get why people feel like the way they do, why this becomes a public chair. Because maybe we're not compensating our directors. I don't think Paul Marver and East Lake should be less than the neighboring cities. We might lose our directors to another location.
I've never heard that before.
the unincorporated issue. We're always the little birds
Yeah, I
flocking
think
in the
that's-
nest, going, give me more, and that's what we should have. I always tell people, we got a whole bunch of cookie cutter subdivisions out here. HOA restricted. You gotta get out there regardless of what's happening in the economy, you lose your job, whatever's going on, you better clean that driveway, you better clean that roof, and you better make sure things look good, or you're gonna get fined. And those proceeds of value go to the county.
Mhm.
And so we're talking about cities that are participating against our county dollars, saying we get what we get. But at the end of the day, this is a nice area of value for the counties to take a lot of tax dollars out, show a little more appreciation. And that's always been the issue with 21 unincorporated areas in Mills
And I
County.
think that's kind of why I looked at it, and I felt like, after reading everything, that, yeah, we're not compensating them to a degree that they deserve.
If I may, we struggled since we became part of PHCSA with the review from day one. Because it's real hard for us to look at where we were and how we did everything ourselves. I've been on our board now for 26 years. And we raised every penny ourselves. And we got through it. We got along. But when the grants came along, I don't know if any of y'all ever did the big grants for the county, we had to. Well, for the first 4 years, I believe it was, we got the grants. The other places, Cross Bayou, all the other places that were putting it in, didn't. Pretty much because of what I think you're saying. The people that live in this area, we have businessmen on our board. We have people that have ways and means of doing things and getting them done. Our presentations were, spot on, exactly what they asked us. We do something that probably cost us, I don't know, $1,000 just to put the CDs and things together with professional people. Cross Bayou would hand in an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with written requests. Well, I'm not picking on them.
No, but
That's-
I know what you mean, though.
Okay.
It was okay.
And I think we've struggled with this because we don't really know. Mark does, he's our only employee. We hire everybody we have anything to do with our complex. We've gone out and bid the work out. And actually, Mark has helped Erica get people to take care of your fields in your complexes from our field. So, they're working together. Well, I think, and I will agree, from my first 4 months here, I was about ready to throw in the towel because I couldn't take it. And I would have, if I didn't ask me to do a review right then, I would have said something, but I agree with what Phil said. I know I've worked with 2 or 3 of these people, well, 3 of them, and I would have given them 2 of them really good reviews, but I also understand, and I understand what Erica does for Palm Harbor. I get it. It's totally different than what Mark does. It's totally different than what Lois does. I've helped Lois. She was telling you all that. So we struggle as our board. We sit there and we don't know how to evaluate Mark in comparison to. We know what he does for us, so I agree. We're going to sit there and say, yep, Mark does his job, and he goes way beyond his job. He does things that he doesn't get paid for.
Right, and that's where I go with the apples. You cannot compare Erica and Mark. They have 2 different jobs, they're 2 different people, they might have a similar title, but it's different.
And we think that we have questions on there that don't really apply to us.
I see that.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I,
And those were left over from years past.
Yeah.
In between, and those are the ones hopefully we can vet a lot of those out.
And our board is, and I will be right up front, I had to rely a little bit on Scott to help me, because I've got 4 houses on Clearwater Beach. And I'm struggling at work,
absolutely.
so he helped me put this all together. But it's a struggle for us every year we do this. We don't know really what to do.
And I think that's where I was going with it, is if they come to us and we're supposed to make some kind of a judgment, and yeah, they all do great. And at first I was like, oh, here we go again, but then I stepped back. I thought of it from a board perspective. I'm looking at it wrong. I'm looking at it, what they're trying to tell us is how good they're doing. And that's what I felt like in the board, when we get together and we start going, oh, they don't do, let's not give them that much raise, oh, well, someone got 4 and someone else got 3. That's what happens in our meeting, every time we do it. And if somebody gets more than the other person, it starts to be a problem. Instead of, let's look at each of them, individual. They're not the same. We don't have to be the same, each person. Each of them is individual. They're all under the fixer umbrella, but they do a different job. And we need to base our evaluation on that individual job and not come to our meeting and start arguing amongst ourselves, which is what we do every year. All the years I've been on it. Oh, well, somebody got more than another person, and we didn't do it. We shouldn't be comparing like that.
The only thing we argue about, and the only thing that causes stress and grief is the dollar.
It's the dollars.
Okay? It's not this,
It's not the
review.
review.
The review's a review. We can go through right now and approve,
I'm sure we can.
approve everything, and then it gets down to what are we gonna recommend for a raise? We just gave them 4.25% COLA raise. What else do we wanna give them? We haven't had any discussion about that. I think we're wasting our time right now if we discuss the review process because it's what it is. We need to keep tweaking it, but not tonight.
No, that's right.
You know, this is, we have the reviews. I think we have more right here than we've ever had. And I think I read through all of them. I don't really.
I no longer feel like I'm sitting up and.
Somebody had to explain this to me, which I have no idea what this is, but you know, I do not know what that is. But I read all of this.
That's how they were scored by the individual.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me. So, and I read the comments. The comments can mean more to me than anything else.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got it.
And I read the comments. I read through the advisory board's comments, and I think it's a very thorough process. I think we've got 4 great people. There are some negative little things in there that need to improve. You know, I think the big thing is what we were mentioning just a little while ago is the goals. Their long-term, their short-term goals, and do we effectively list them, and do we effectively track them, and have they achieved them? And that achievement of their goals is the achievement of the goal, and have we asked them to do more work? Are we asking them to take on more than what their job description is? Continually. We have said as a board that we will give a raise for additional responsibility that's going to continue. We would give a bonus. Or what's it called?
Merit bonus.
Merit bonus.
Yeah, a merit bonus, or you know, for exceptional work for that year, that above and beyond what they were called out to do. I know we've had a problem, but I don't have a problem with bonus. I don't know why we all have a problem with bonus. I think a bonus is something you're rewarding an employee for doing. It doesn't become an increase in their salary. It's a one-time thing, and it's rewarding them for coming out because of 2 hurricanes and working their own personal time, or coming out because they are opening a new office.
Increasing revenue or something.
Yeah, something they've done something phenomenal for their organization. Not that they came out and did their job for 12 months.
Right.
They came out and did their job for 12 months. Nobody's guaranteed a pay increase. Nobody's guaranteed a raise. I get told that every year by my bosses. You know, so, but anyways, but a bonus for doing a great job or increasing your revenue, what's wrong with that? We can give that. But if an employee, a director, is looking to take on, I got to use Erica because she's looking this next year. She's going to have a $10 million multi-purpose building that's going to start construction. She's going to increase her square footage by about 12,000 square feet. Means her programs are going to increase. She's going to have to hire more employees. Her budget will significantly increase, but her revenues will increase because she'll have more programs. And that's all she's going to get from it, more programs. She's not going to get more tax money. Her revenue from the county is going to stay the same. So she's looking to have to increase. She's going to have to come up with ways to raise more money, which she is. She's going to have to come up with ways to pay more staff, which she is. And her job description is going to change. We're going to have to modify her job description. And as you're saying, we're going to have to look at all 4 of our directors from what your research has said and look at the pay range that we're paying. That maybe we're off. I don't know, because you know what? I rely on HR to come and tell me how much we're paying, and I don't know.
At this point on that, I mean, ideally, I would love for you to do the salary survey coming into this meeting when we would have those lines in the same, based on the job descriptions. Because right now, the job descriptions don't have to align either. You know, Mark and Erica, there may be two levels of responsibility there just because of the size.
And that's the problem, you can overlay
That's okay.
the two job descriptions, and Mark's is different than Erica's, but then it's the same, and it's really not. I mean, it's just,
And
it needs to be totally rewritten for each of those.
And the library is the same way. Libraries, you know, East Lake may do things differently than Palm Harbor. That's perfectly okay. Where does the salary fall? That's what an HR professional is gonna help us with, and say, these are kind of the guardrails for the salary. That's two different discussions though, because again, I agree. Because if I'm doing twice as much from a job description, you know, we would ideally just want to reward that person, change the job description, these are the three elements going on to it. HR, does that add more compensation as a result of it? Yes, it does, $3,221, whatever it may be. That's the way we should drive it. That's your increase, if you will, but that's changing job.
And that's what I'm trying to get. My point is, Eric is getting her $10 million building. We can't get our, it started out at $550,000
I agree.
office. And so, okay, so Mark, to him, and he feels bad, he apologizes to us as a board because he can't do the things that we set for him to do because the county keeps turning him down.
I agree, that's a problem.
And they take the money away. That was our number one thing when we joined Fix-It, was we needed we had a building about this size, was gonna be a meeting room and a second story, so our footprint was small enough to fit where we needed it to. So he could have his office upstairs, he could see the whole complex, and we could start to expand a little bit. Well, one of the county administrators decided to take us from here and bump us 6 more years down the road. So now all that time and effort we put in, and we priced it out, we've had bids, I've done it twice. So Mark feels bad about that. And he doesn't think he has anything to show going forward, other than we take care of our complex.
You have a solid plan. Could you do your own capital campaign or some type of fundraising or something to help that process?
And that's why we started trying to do the field expansion on our own and not wait for the county anymore, because quite honestly, we were getting basically the door slammed in our face. And we were way further down the road this year than we've been in the past 6, getting that done.
And in the past 6, we've seen an incredible run up of value in homes.
Yes.
And that's 6 years.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Who would have thought that you would be living in a $1 million neighborhood? We've been a while back. $1 million home? Oh, no way. They're all around. And the county loves that. And we're taking care of it, and we're out there power washing. We've had this conversation, and that's how we got involved with CN a long time ago, to help you guys out, because we saw that need. And it was all about the loudest chirping birds. That's all it was. We kept every month, we'd go there, meet with commissioners and ask, what we wanted. This is what's important to the people that are voters, the taxpayers in your district. And it worked.
That's back when we were.
But now we're kicked back, 6 months, and there's a lot of kids, a lot of families, a lot of parents that would get behind a larger program. It's just you need.
One thing I think we all can agree on, that we've got the 4 directors are doing a marvelous job.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get that, I'm sorry.
Nancy's come a long way, over the last year or two, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because again, he was spread thin, trying to, but we like the trend where everything's heading at this point in time. But we've got 4 strong directors.
Absolutely, in the
I don't
process.
think we could hire anyone to take their places, what I'm saying? These guys are polished, they absolutely polished.
They are.
And you're right, if we're not complimenting them enough, we just have to figure better ways to reward them
That's how I
for
felt.
service or whatever.
But-
Because again,
So it's almost like we need to reevaluate each one of these,
Yeah, I think.
each job description,
Yeah.
and then do a salary-based compensation search based on the job description. But at the same time, redo the evaluation
Yeah.
to better match the job description.
Yeah, so
I mean, that's really all, everything for the past half hour.
I
That's
agree.
exactly what we just talked about.
20 questions you can
We
just
need to do
line
this
Right,
to this.
I agree.
A center,
We didn't answer.
a
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. A one-stop shop for a review doesn't work.
It does.
Because it doesn't allow us to evaluate Mark properly, doesn't allow us to evaluate Erica, doesn't allow us to, and Matthew, and Lois. But again, that's where the pitting now comes from, because when we're using the same form, and now it's like, well, wait a minute, this is, it's gotta
There
stop.
are differences with, because again, that's like, what am I trying to accomplish? The center stuff is behavioral stuff. And that's the stuff from Denver, we've used that for years, and percentages stuff. You could throw that away, you could add, subtract to that one, but that's more the behavioral side of how I'm doing my job. But what is the job requirement, and what are the improvements that we have to bring forward? If I've given you these three improvements that we agreed to, are you working on those three performance, continuous improvement opportunities throughout the year? If the answer is no, I don't know if I'm gonna evaluate you as high because you just put your head in the sand and not listening to it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, but some of that, you could fill in the blanks and you can write stuff. I agree with you, though, that a lot of the scoring in between,
And a lot of the weight needs to go on goals.
yeah.
Phil's right, Phil's absolutely right, a lot of the weight has to go on goals.
Well, listening to all this, should I add an agenda item that we are going to finish 2025? Redo all the job
I would-
descriptions?
Yes.
I mean, we're a group, and then have individualized evaluation forms so that I focus on their particular job rather than this overall.
I don't think that's a agenda line item. I think that's an agenda note that we're gonna form. Again, we need to do it as a group and start readjust, like we've been doing for the last 2 years.
We've been doing it.
And just spend more time, and this is what our goal is to adjust the job descriptions, to adjust the review to be more job specific, to adjust the review to be more goal oriented.
I think that's the key right there.
And then before I go off on this, I want to go back to what you said about Mark's building and about the emphasis with the county. That's not for tonight, but that's something that needs to be added to our agenda.
Yes.
That as a fix of board,
Our
we
responsibility.
need to get on the bandwagon with Mark. And that's not gonna be just Mark, because I know Lois has capital improvement plans for here. I think the only place that, I don't know what Palm Harbor Library, I don't know what Matthew's.
And we're thinking
long-term
through that
plans are.
one, because that was the kind of 5-year goal, to try to do a double story there too, but again, we keep on pushing him, but he's not quite ready to sign up for capital campaign.
But the things that are critical right now is Mark keeps getting overlooked
Yes, he does.
by the county. And part of that's because of the large size of the project that Erica got and the emphasis that was put on that.
See, we don't, it doesn't even come up. It has nothing to do with her. I'm just.
No, it doesn't, but it does with the county.
But, you know how long we've been trying to get, they've been bitching at us about parking. Everybody around here has bitched at us about parking, all right? We have tried, and we talked a little bit before the rest of y'all got here, that I've done this now, I've lost track, I think it might even be 28 years. But anyway, we've put together budgets that the county said, the corner up here at East Lake and Keystone, put a budget together to put soccer there. Okay, we did 39 acres next, just put a budget there. Okay, every time I put budgets together, we've gone and sat down with the county. First one, somebody forgot to take the 39 acres out of the Booker Creek Preserve when they sent it to the state. They were supposed to sign that 39 acres out of it. Somebody forgot. They let us go 3.5 years before they told us. We went down to that 16 people, sat in front of them, and the gentleman, Davis was his last name. And he said, before we go any further, we just want to let you know that you can't go there. After 3.5 years. And we spent, at the attorney, we spent like $47,000 in fees, and we spent probably $65,000 in fees. That was all donations. That was all money we raised on our own. We threw it away, almost $100,000. We threw away because somebody forgot to sign and then they didn't tell us. So we went through the whole process. We had our Swift mode permits, we had everything ready to go.
Yeah, and it's not unique to East Lake.
No,
we
it's
had the
not.
same thing, you know, we had fields already ready to start constructing, and then we find out, oh, the county sold it to a private developer. You know, we had plans already drawn up to do something else, and then the school board comes back, they gave us their permission to use the property. It was gonna be a county, land swap, and, everybody was behind it until the school board sold it to a private developer. And many things like that.
You and I know too much about the
Way
process,
too much.
okay? And how to go about doing things and how conflicted it can get at times, to be polite about it. And I agree, but it's just, we just keep getting shot down.
But we need to get to the reviews, and I think we should stand up.
It needs to be on the
Yeah.
agenda, it needs to be on the agenda that we
Yeah.
do a full.
And Lois, because Lois has got plans too, and I think we need to make sure we don't
A
break
couple
them.
weeks, a couple months ago, I asked Mark, I said, get in touch with Lois, put together an outstanding presentation for the county. Mark needs to do the exact same thing. You need to have something to roll with so that you can put it in front of other organizations that are local that will support you, including the county. But get that word out, just like she's doing, because that's a hard press, and they push back on her. So they're gonna continue pushing back on the smaller, quieter birds that are out there squawking. So get loud. That's the only, and we have a new set of commissioners. I mean, there's a lot that are moving.
Yeah, we talked about that too, there are more. Dave Edgar did tell us the same thing 2 meetings ago. He said, y'all probably need to be a little more forceful and a little more.
Turn up the volume.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta turn up the volume.
It's okay.
But we have that voice.
You deserve it.
We have that voice as a board.
As another voice.
We have to be strong and loud
Right.
with them.
Yeah.
So
We'll
let's,
put that on
Who
the
actually
agenda.
did Lois's present? Did Lois do all that presentation?
Did here, one of the volunteers. Smart did.
Because again, out of all of the directors, I mean, that certainly was the most professional. Now, Matthew talked to Nancy. Nancy said you just kind of wing it, you off the cuff. You just kind of talk to it. Didn't want a presentation. Did not want a formal presentation, which is interesting. Now Lois took the formal presentation, and
These
then
are
she not
definitely
only stunned us, but then she's got,
You can put that in your
the
website.
chairman.
And again, way off topic, this is another
We
whole
just need to
meeting.
get, but yeah, it is, we need to get back to doing what
But
we
going
have.
back to what you were saying, yes, we need to have workshops to reevaluate
Yes,
the job descriptions, to reevaluate the reviews, to be more goal focused,
and we'll
and then
try
to
to
do
plan
a
that.
compensation, but that's on HR. Once these are done, then you can run with that.
Right, I think that's where we need to move on that direction. But let's go back to try to get to these reviews. We'll start with the Palm Harbor Library. Just bullet, you have the advisory committee, we've all read it, so.
So just kind of going through every, the board's comments, I was, a couple of these lower ones, Matthew came up with some as long as they're in, board discussions. I'm just curious what the specifics were around that, because again, somebody gave that comment, and I don't know who, are theirs or not on there?
I don't know who gave it, it wasn't me, but I can tell you there are times where Matthew does kind of push the envelope a little bit
Okay.
when addressing the board, and he gets spanked a little bit, and then he kind of takes his tail back. But he has done that a couple of, it's not a lot. I've noticed it a couple of times, and it's like, Matthew, you're kind of out of line, but I don't say anything. But I think that's where this person was coming from,
Okay, gotcha.
on that side of things.
I gotcha,
So-
I gotcha. Because the other comments I was okay with, and Matthew can provide more details on how they happen to the board. Like, again, he does kind of talk in just general, what the activities are going on. But, I mean, there's a little bit more, I mean, because when the advisory board meeting, we go through tons of details. We go, how many people are coming in, here, I mean, knowledge, dollars, people, projects, programs. The only thing, we keep on pushing him a little bit is kind of that, more of that future, more of the strategic projects. Because again, it's a return on investment, everything we're providing. And it's really, something's not working as well, just because we've done it this way every year, in April we've done it, is there a better way to do things? And that's, and she should be sharing some of those ideas back to the board if there's corrections or changes in that. I agree with you on that one. I think there was other responses I think it was okay with. Overall review process, again, focusing on the three, fully effective performance. And again, the only thing I struggle with as an HR guy, I really look at what's beyond expectations? Because going into last year, we did not establish expectations for them. We did not clearly write those out. And so, and again, he had some idea, this is kind of my forward plan, but there wasn't a write-off. I can't measure my performance for those 3 or 4 or 5 things. And so that's really what we were hoping for, and we kind of identified a little bit more this year. And then the things that we missed, we've done a couple of 360s with them, one with the staff, one with the advisory councils. And we've actually, played that back. He's kind of in that 5, almost 6 range out of 10. And again, it wasn't my scale, it was Sherman's scale. I just used their questions. And so literally, but the nice thing with the 360, we see the engagement, we see the staff, and we see what the kind of the averages are. And so it also gives us some verbatim that he can take, and hopefully he's going to internalize those as part of his continuous improvement process. I didn't write it into a performance review, but there was a lot of opportunities on there, and Sharon and I on a quarterly basis, we sit with him during lunch, and we actually review those. What progress are we making to fill some of those gaps? And that's how we're kind of steering the process on that one. But when we did the Google survey, and as much as we had those discussions on it, I went back through and I actually did the Google survey fill-out. If you want to see it, just go for it, guys. Everybody's got Google ratings. The only thing you gotta do is you only gotta go for the last year and do them quarter by quarter. I did quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I just got the scores. Right now, Matthew, since he's been in, he's got a 4.95. Everything was 5 except one score was a 4.9. And so, and that was in the 4th quarter it was a year ago. And that was right after we started. So again, and again, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. That's for another workshop discussion at some point in time. But the goal there was trying to get customer feedback in addition to our feedback to how the directors are doing. And that's a good way to possibly do it. And then the other position, general position was, we just did, I summarized the way we do it, every advisory board writes a full review. Matthew writes a full review. 100% ranking. I will not look at anyone's scores unless I get everyone's evaluation. Once I get the evaluations, I coordinate all of them, collate them, and do my average scoring across the board. And then I look at the verbatims, what I'm talking about from the description standpoint, and I pare those down into one general thing. Because Sharon writes something, I write something, you may write something, 2 of the board members may write nothing. But I try to get and said, this is what the main thrust of the general position support requirements are. And so that's what we just articulate back to Matthew on an ongoing basis. So each one there, management and administrative support. Kind of wrote through those, and I'm not going to read them all, but anyways. And then at the back section of it, so then we had an overall rating. So even though we're ranking in between stuff, and that was off Deborah's list, I said his overall ranking was a 3.25. His 6-month evaluation was a 3.0. So he's better than he was back then, but again, I'm just kind of using the strong definitions. And again, if I'm all wet behind ears and I shouldn't be using the definitions, that's what a workshop will help me on, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not saying I'm right, but when I kind of look at the words, he's doing the job, he's succeeding a little bit, but he's not walking, he's not a role model yet, from our perspective anyways. Overall support, let's see. He continually achieves annual goals. Incumbent performance is reliable and consistent. He adds value to the overall working. Then some of the recommendations was make yourself more available to the staff. That came out loud and clear with the 360. He spends a lot of time in and out of the building going to fix a thing, and he's not communicating where he's not going to be in today. And so it just kind of bugs some of the staff members or the boss.
How long ago was that?
The 360 was a month ago.
Is that scheduling conflict?
6 months for the staff. 6 months for the staff.
Because he's got a board now where he writes it.
Yeah, now he does, and he listened to that. That was our feedback we gave him, because he said, well, it's on the schedule. Well, no, it's not on the schedule, Matthew, show us where it is, you can't find it. And so we kept them preaching for the whiteboard, and now he's doing that,
Yes,
But that's a good example of continuous improvement. That was established, yeah, you're good about it, and so that's a correction that we've done. Improving all schedule and visibility was one of those things out there. That's what that was, fundraising activities. Again, how do we do a better job on the fundraising activities? I mean, Lois here with passports or whatever, there's things going on. Erica does the same thing. There's things they're doing. I don't know if we're really working as hard as we should be at our location. And so, I did that for years at the Humane Society. I ran that fundraising side of the business, and you can really articulate it. But we were pulling in $250,000 a year consistently. And we had return on investments for every opportunity we did. And that was, people maybe love dogs more than they love library, but I don't know. That was an opportunity. And the HR support depended on making sure that our employees are taken care of, no drop balls. And I think he does a good job on that one, but I just want to make sure consistently we're doing that. Because high inflationary periods, we were talking about staff raises for our directors. I mean, all our employees get sucked into that too. What are we giving our employees? Because again, if we're giving just the cost of living and we're doing nothing else for the employees, that's okay, but do we do salary surveys for them too? And now you got a lot more job descriptions.
But that's not, we don't do that.
Well, no, I know, but it could lead to turnover. That's what I'm saying. How do we take care of our employees? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that's on them.
That's on
I don't
them.
mean, no, I don't, no, I'm not trying to bring it into our responsibility.
Okay.
I just meant from, hopefully we don't have a lot of turnover.
Anybody else have comments?
One of the things on number 2, measurable recommendations, outcome assessment, refer to your 6-month evaluation and recommendations. It doesn't help us with what they are or were.
Well, understand, I could have brought the 6 months evaluation.
It would have helped us on this because now we understand, is he meeting his goals?
Yeah, I understand.
We don't have anything to measure. That was one of my concerns, and it was not just on Matthews, it's on a couple.
That's what got up, but I should have we could have had you just pull the 6 months one, too.
Well, but even if it's just on a separate Word document, something that's attached to this that we can refer back to.
Understand.
So that's from this, so, if we're gonna be looking at that, that was really all I have on that. His self-evaluation, I thought, was written in third person, so it makes me wonder if he wrote it or if somebody else wrote it. His self-evaluation.
Matthew has.
Matthew, yeah, everything is written in third person, so it's like,
I saw that.
who did this? But not only that, and this is another part, he didn't grade himself.
No, he didn't, you're right.
And that's because for me, and I'm gonna kind of skip over Mark's, it was very humbling to read Mark's, where he put himself.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that for Matthew. I like to see how the directors feel about themselves.
Well, and the other thing that's, when we did it, I collated everything, and it was Sharon, let Sharon have a look at it. Then we sit down with Matthew and.
But this is his self. I'm not talking about the director. This is his self.
To kind of go through, and he didn't give any feedback at all, so we gave him an opportunity.
Right.
To actually write in addition from his personal one. So we took his self-evaluation into consideration, but there was no self-evaluation input into the review though, which sometimes you see though, you're right, I don't do.
Correct, yeah, no, I
But we
agree.
gave him an opportunity to do it, he didn't do it, so anyways. But thank you for that, yeah.
That's all I've got to say. Other than that, I mean, yes.
Bill? Anybody else have comments? Input?
I gave Matthew a little more wiggle because he was newer.
Exactly.
I had a problem with when we had given multiple suggestions on how to gain more feedback, and he pushed back, and I didn't write that, but that was kind of, I felt the same way. But I thought, well, you just don't know the cadence yet, and hopefully you'll fit into that shoe a little better as time goes on. I gave him that credit, because normally if that was a 5-year, 10-year director, that's a whole different story. Why are you pushing back? That's not your place at that point. We're the advisory board, we're giving you good suggestions. He pushed back when we were doing that time, but I think he was corrected, and I think he'll continue to learn.
We typically, last year, we met with him every month, off-site. Sharon and I swung for lunch, and we had lunch to review his performance. And and shortfalls. We did that 9 times last year. And this year, we're gonna do it quarterly going forward. So we're meeting and we're literally driving what the
There's no
shortfall
question, I would not want you as my advisory board.
Actually, to be honest with you, I
Do
would
my
want
job,
that,
I'll make
I
you
would
money.
want that as my advisory board, because then I know that.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, personally,
Personally.
oh, okay, all right, personally, yeah, no, you're right, yeah,
Another
personally,
Sherm
I know. I tell my boss, leave me alone, let me do my job.
Yeah,
That's what you have me for.
Roberts.
But no, but I like the fact that you guys are taking on that hands-on with Matthew, because he is new. He's new, and you guys are well established between the advisory board and the friends and the
You have a
foundation.
gene model that you're following.
Exactly,
Kind of evolves from
exactly.
that.
You guys build what you got, and you need to be able to mold the individual. So no, I applaud you guys
Keep
for
on
doing
keeping
that.
on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Matthew needs time to make it his own. He's still,
That's right.
it needs time, it takes time to make it, get your own.
Well, look how long it takes a board member to understand what's going on.
It's been a year for me, hell.
Sooner they get thrown into that.
With the cloud, I guess it's- okay, that's, was gonna be one of my questions when we got to that, but okay, that's no.
Other comments on Matthews? Okay, we don't need motions, do we?
No, there's no, we're not voting on anything,
So,
we're
so we're
just,
good?
Actually, we're doing a lot of stuff now that we would normally do next week.
That's exactly what.
Right.
So that when we bring them up at the meeting,
Now
we
you
can.
just go, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to East Lake Library.
So, I'm here tonight at, to your benefit, what would be helpful for you, right? What did you not get from, that's not a challenge, that's a, help me understand what's gonna be useful for you. I think the evaluation probably speaks for itself with regards to the content and materials, similar to what was offered by Bill. We extracted the customer feedback, we did the responses quarter over quarter. That was summarized by me. The goals and objectives, we took the top things from last year. You saw the verbatims. Not everybody answered every question, but everything was averaged, and every verbatim was put in, including the one that said, I didn't answer every question. But it doesn't necessarily mean that number one is the same on the
that's good.
Because
you're not- I like that, when I saw that, I'm like, that's actually really good, because you're taking everybody's input and including it in the overall.
100%, these are the literal verbatim.
Yes, no, that's great, that's
Yeah,
great.
we should have done that. I'm glad you pointed that out, because again, it just
You
doesn't,
just visualize.
I'm not editing it, and it's verbatim.
And you know what though, that's, I think one of the things I'm gonna ask here at the end is something along these lines. The comments at the end was trying to take everything that you saw in the verbatims and just trying to put it into something that was a couple of 3 paragraphs. And then we actually did look at, and I think we read this based on what the intention was, whether or not it was written in here, which was to put some targeted goals, recommendations, and measurable
Absolutely.
outcomes.
Yes.
So that Lois could say, all right, hey, I gotta do all this stuff. Phil, I forgot how you put it before, it was like, here's all the things that are in my job, and then all the things that aren't in my job that I also do. But, kind of along the lines of, here are things that are measurable that you can do, and at the end of the day, we can say, hey, did you actually respond to the employee feedback?
I do,
I like that measurable recommendation.
exactly.
We did not put we did do a 360 with the directors. Sorry, let me be clear. The folks that report to Lois, they're not all directors, right? But all of Lois's directs, we did a 360 email on, which helped us shape our answers. That was for the advisory board's benefit to be able to answer, especially those things about staff.
Very good.
Lois's self-review was done in parallel, so we didn't see her review until after we did our review. And then Dan had shared with me the director feedback in advance of this meeting, so I could have Lois's evaluation, and things seem to be fairly in line. Couple of comments, that, areas for growth, some things probably a little bit more, we want to dig in a little bit more on. At the end of the day, tried to put this in a way that made it sitting in your chairs. If I got this, what did I do, right? I don't want to do a sales pitch. I got chastised by Ron for that last year. I say with love, it's a joke. And your comments at the beginning, absolutely, like, the evaluation speaks for itself, so. The feedback I would provide, well, actually, I'm not gonna provide the feedback. What questions do you have? Comments?
I really liked the goal set.
Yeah.
I didn't know I hurt your feelings.
Trust me, I'm still rattling on a year later, so like, you know, it's.
like eyeball.
He's still looking at his moves, man.
Let's take care of this.
Well, but in defense for you guys, it always was a sales pitch. It was. I mean, when I did Erica's review as president, chairman of the committee, I had to do a sales pitch.
100%.
And that's how it was, but.
I feel like we're partners now.
Yeah.
I really do feel like
It's
we're
a whole
partners.
different
I felt like we were sitting up at the county commission and we were going, "Oh, tell me about how much money you want, impress me." And then you walk off and I'm like, all right, I gotta go with that, I guess. I like the guy's presentation, I guess. That's good enough, I'll take it. But now I feel like we're family about this. We're really digging in and trying to make it
We're trying to make it
improvement
better.
and doing the right things for the right reasons.
Agreed, I mean, we serve different groups, let's be clear on that, right? Like, you basically serve at the benefit of the county. The advisory board really serves at the benefit of the director.
Our loyalties to FICSA and the directors and the entities involved. You guys are more centralized on the ground.
I'm just talking about we serve a broader base, let me be clear, but FICSA is created for the benefit of the county, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Your charter is different, but it's to the county's benefit. For us, we serve the benefit of the director, but we want to make sure that the entity is doing the right thing. We also do not do day-to-day. We provide guidance to the director because the director does the day-to-day. And so our Venn diagrams overlap in that regard. I do agree. I think it's an us and you,
Right.
not a you versus us kind of thing. So I completely agree. That's why I think the evaluations, they're not perfect.
But
And it's not us versus you versus the directors, it's everybody needs, we're all working.
Absolutely.
Another board needs to carry, I'm sorry, Phil, but
no, keep going.
we have to make sure that
I'm not gonna
we
lose the
continue this flow. Because
Exactly.
new people will come onto this board and get that attitude again where, hey, this is my library, I never go to, I never go to Parks and or Rec or any of the, I don't even go to the other library. Well, I'm gonna protect what I got. That attitude has to be completely removed from this equation, because that's what kills the process.
You champion your director to us. That's what the advisory board does, in my opinion. We then take it to the county. So, I mean, we're not, when you said the way you said it sounded like we were the county coming down on, I think we built up to them.
It's about our charters versus what our creation was about. Our creation as an advisory board was for the service of the director to help with the guidance of operating their entity. FICSA's creation was for the county to be able to say, hey, take care of this taxable district. How we operate
Yes.
is a different story. And to your point, I feel in the last year, that is a more collaborative effort. Where we said, we had a workshop a few months ago in this room. Can't remember if that was your workshop or not. Where I basically said, hey, look, as an advisory board, you put a lot of faith and confidence that I'm doing what I say I'm doing. Right? That's why this is all done the way it is. You guys accepting that? It's great. Like, it means we're on the same page. Like, it's not us versus FICSA. It's us and FICSA. Just because of our creation, we may be different. The way we operate should absolutely be aligned.
No, because
What
we
you
have,
just said about backing up Mark to get a building, yeah, that's what I expect from FICSA.
Right.
well, and we have to make sure, because the comments that were made in our FICSA meeting in the past was that, an advisory board no longer had faith in FICSA.
Mhm.
Okay? And
That was our board.
yeah, and that has to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Okay, and it did hurt.
But we listened.
No, I completely.
Yeah,
And you know what?
no, I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And the other thing, as much as I thought, I kind of pushed back, why are we doing individual reviews for our directors? I actually enjoyed doing it. It actually helped me, with being able to understand all the other reviews. And it was information that, I had to sit and think about each of the directors.
Right.
And I sat and I was negative about Lois in just one area because I had knowledge of it, but it really wasn't being negative because honestly, I think she is probably the biggest, spokesperson, and that's what she needs to be for the East Lake Library. And no matter what feathers she ruffles, no matter what happens, and no matter what negative comments come back from a commissioner, it doesn't matter, because she's doing her job. She's doing what she's supposed to do.
And honestly, for you guys, being able to go this year and now have 3 data sources, right? Like, it's not just the sales pitch.
Right.
Again, I'm not being
No,
cheesy, it's not
no,
just the sales
you're
pitch.
It is,
Hey,
it's true.
what do you think you did? My only feedback is, I don't know that everybody understands the scale. I kind of made that comment before, and it's not a negative, it's just a,
No, and when I saw
Scale
she was grading herself
she
at all
rated herself
fives.
very high.
Exactly, and some areas she does, in my opinion, in some of those she does, but I think it was a little overinflated on that. But that's what these are about, her comments.
The comments.
The comments were
That's
Right.
what the meeting
right
was.
on, they really were right on, and to your point, the pitting between the thing, it caused her issues.
Right, and it's.
And it's in here.
And I think it is the numbers that I was reflecting to.
Yeah.
So I looked at them all and I went, but then when I stopped, that's why I went back and I read them all.
Mhm.
I got so much more out of the comments for
Yep.
each one.
Yeah.
Because the numbers, I don't have to look at them, they're all perfect. That's kind of what's so, it's like, so that's why I think the numbers kind of like, let's look at, but then when you dig into the meat, you see.
So maybe we should add an 11 and 12.
Maybe we should just.
I think she did say, she did comment that she did, she misunderstood the numbers.
Yeah,
And then
she did.
Yeah, when,
And that's fine, I mean, it's the first time.
sure.
Let me say that in all of this, I think what I'm hearing that would be, that has started to be helpful and will be more helpful if we flesh it out, and that is if we put the goals for each of the entities out there so we know them, their board knows them, they know them. It will give us a lot more to work with, because sometimes at the fixed meeting, I just feel like we're serving. We're just having one more meeting and we approve the warrants, which is probably the most important thing we do, and then we go about our business. But if we really want to come together and move the organization forward, and Fix-It doesn't have a life of its own, it exists to help Erica get her building, help Mark get his building, help us get this library built. And so I think putting the goals out there more publicly, in the small public,
It would be a recurring agenda item.
Correct.
Maybe, okay, we can do, I
So
can
we
do that.
revisit quarterly.
Quarterly
meetings.
Yeah,
And I
revisit the
think
goals.
too, thinking about, listening to what you're all saying, by putting the goals here, like bringing the goals, if the directors even bring their goals to us, we can then help more, because we have a finite line item, say, oh, Mark needs help with the building, that's what we're gonna focus
Now you're
on.
tracking against facts.
Yeah, as opposed to just it being jumbled up in the whole
And
thing,
any new name,
in the director's report type of thing.
Right.
any new directors coming on, they'll get on board much
I think
quicker
we-
than going, what do you do?
Right.
Strategic planning, I mean, if you do ocean boundary, there's a lot of different ways to do that 3 to 5 year planning process. I do a lot of my other consulting stuff. But take a lot of corporations do that strategic, where do you want to be in 3, 4, 5 years? Where does Mark want to be 5 years down the road? Where does the advisory board want to be for 5 years down the road?
We actually do that.
Well, I'm sure you do, so those, how do we visualize that though? That's what you're saying.
And again, you guys do it, and I know Palm Harbor Parks and Rec does it to a point.
Not good enough.
Not good, no, but I'm giving you credit for it, just take it and run. But anyways, and I'm sure all the advisory boards do, but we never see that.
Right.
Seeing that from you guys, no, we don't see that. It's another partnership thing, but it's not just a partnership with Mark and the directors. It's also the advisory boards. You guys have seats on this board for 2 reasons. One, to communicate to us your needs, and for you to take information back to your director and boards. So it's your communication line, but we're not getting that coming in this way.
And I think we take, personally, I take more back to them than we give to you.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
You know,
But I mean, like I said, if we had everybody's goals,
Yeah.
we could act upon that. Mark could have had that building possibly, I don't know, but he could have, but I'm just saying, is that we had a little bit We can go back, Sandy can go back to her appointee, all four of the appointed directors, we can go back to our commissioners and say, look, this is what's necessary, these are the goals.
I think we need.
And
like
be that
one, two,
extra
three.
voice instead of just at a commissioner's meeting.
If I'm understanding what the format is here, and this is not for you to have to respond to tonight, but Lotus has this, right? Like, we need these out of the library, we do these every 3 years.
Yeah.
But this is not what you're looking for, you're looking for the top 3 items.
Just the top three, a couple of
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
bullets.
Right?
How's that thing going, how's that thing going?
Yeah, like, but, you know, where do you need our help? 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
that, so it's clear to all the board members, not just the one on the advisory committee.
And if you're working
Correct.
on that plan correctly, every year, you should, what flows into this year, what is the next 5-year opportunity?
And then-
And if you look at Lotus's FY25 stuff, it's pretty much, it adds directly to that.
And if we're plugged into what their objectives are, their top priorities throughout the year, this review's a lot easier. Now we're like, man, I know what they
And
did.
maybe we would already be leaving now.
Yeah.
We'll keep it filled up.
But again, the feedback I would provide is
Started early this morning.
this process was much improved this year. And the feedback that you're getting from multiple angles is great. A couple of questions I would have for this board would be, one is, this document, the one that came from the advisory board, is what's going into their personnel file? Question mark? And this is the only one?
No,
All right.
Everything is.
All 3?
everything's public.
Okay.
Public.
No, I didn't ask public, I asked personnel. There's a slight difference in that.
I'll do all 3 going.
Okay.
Are all 3, well, so let's ask the HR, what's going in, are all 3, or just the advisory board?
Just
Okay.
Just the advisory board, okay.
Has been going in.
Because we haven't had the other ones.
Right, well, so then this is where the feedback's gonna go. So next year, as you guys do your post-mortem, the book that yourself read is gonna be part of it, and the director's evaluation will be part of it, or the fix director's evaluation will be part of it. That's great. Just, that would be one piece of feedback. What do you want to go into the big picture next year?
I would recommend right now that just the advisory go in, because I don't think that was established beforehand, and some of the verbiage in this might not want to be in the personnel file.
Well, and the names aren't on here, there's no, maybe there's electronic signature you can zero in on, but you should sign off on this thing. We should have a review process with the director also. This is what it's saying, because being the director, then we had comment on any of this stuff.
And that's part of the reason I'm asking.
Yes,
There's no opportunity to respond to any of this.
So the advisory board is the only one that's sat down and presented and discussed.
Food for thought for next year, right?
Yeah, that's what I think, we put it on, push it on to next year.
Absolutely, just, hey, I'm glad you're collecting it.
Everybody else,
I think
we all
it's
go,
think
push
about
it
it
to
for
next
next
year. Okay, done, with.
It's almost like there's somebody from HR here.
Yes,
Who could provide.
If only we went to HR muscle, love it.
It's good.
I
know.
I like it, pretty good. All right, so we
Next.
can we move on to Eastlake Parks and Rec?
Sure.
So Mark's review. We should be out next week, early.
Really simple.
I go on the same situation. Y'all.
What have you got for you?
Yeah, what have you got for me? 'Cause
The only thing when Mark said at the commission meeting, the only thing he really needs to probably get a PowerPoint presentation in front of him.
Okay.
Because he kind of wings that.
Okay, hold
so
on,
much. I mean,
hold on.
he's-
Okay, I got an answer for you real quick. He's had a PowerPoint presentation the last couple. This one he just did, he came back and told us, he said, I felt really unprepared because I did what they asked us. They said they didn't want that.
Well, that's what they told me.
Right.
And they didn't want that, they wanted something short, sweet, and to the point, and be done and gone and get out.
Yeah.
He did that, and then he came back to us and said, boy, did I not come prepared to
And
this.
everybody did PowerPoints.
Yeah.
except for a handful.
But they said not to.
Yeah, I know. It's
So-
it's not-
Don't matter. That's just trying to keep their time short.
But I think.
Just have that as another weapon.
But there's,
like us, we wanna finish. In a perfect world, I would love to see those presentations the month before they actually went to the county commission. Where we would have an opportunity to review what's going to be said at the commission meeting. Because again, it gives them an opportunity to practice, but it gives us an opportunity to ask questions real time, during the situation. And Matthew had the wrong, he gave them the wrong number of employees. He gave twice as many employees. We don't have 70-some employees in the library. And so Commissioner Scott, I think, asked that question. So he corrected, he knew the right number, but we would have caught that if we would have vetted that out prior to that.
If he had presented to the advisory board, maybe not, but not fixed up.
Lois did hers to.
Oh, yeah, she did, absolutely.
Lois could have done hers to us, and I would have gone, oh, that's great. I wouldn't have known that they had the wrong employees. I mean, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know that we need to see every director, but anyways, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just, that,
I mean,
he knew that when he walked out of there, he thought he was doing what they asked him to do.
Yeah, no, I understand, right, yeah, I mean.
That's fair.
You know, sometimes it's an opposite effect with the commissioners, that if they come in and show too much, they're negative, and then Mark's several presentation, they've had more impact. So you never know. It's a crapshoot.
Most commission meetings can be really long, so I can see what I'm saying there. But I agree, but Mark does need to have more community outreach, community, in the eyes of the community. And it's not just Eastlake, with the county commissioners as well. So that was really my only thing. The goals, I thought were spot on. I mean, they really were. I mean, but are they long-term, or are those, some seem long-term, okay? But if they were identified as long-term, I get that. And I took some of those as long-term, especially when you're talking about the meadows and everything else like that. I know some of those plans are further on out, but again, that all depends on the county. So I just don't want him to state a goal and miss it because it's out of his control.
And we discussed that. We're gonna sit down and have our own workshop, as aside from our board meeting, with probably 4 or 5 of us. And Mark's gonna come up with his long-term plans and short-term goals. And so then we will, this is helpful for me because now I know what y'all are looking and what you think we should be doing, because I felt that way for a long time. And honestly, we feel like we're like not part of the county, to be honest.
Well, you are on that side of Keystone. Yes, you are on the north side of Keystone.
to get there from here.
Yes, it does.
Our board members were all late Tuesday night. They couldn't get to the
Couldn't get
meeting.
there. I know, it's hard to get there.
But
Community engagement, when you look at your goals and stuff like that, maybe you talk at your advisory board meetings, but how many people actually, Mark every now and then showcases, 3 people went to some soccer or they got some awards or whatever. But literally day to day, the county's spending lots of money up there. How many people are really using the facility? How much playtime time do we get? How much activities are we getting? That, I would love to see a goal for that. What is that engagement?
Right, and then we don't see, but also, on the negative side, and I'm not trying to be that way, but drainage is an issue. We know that. I mean, my son played flag up there. Out of 7 games, I think they played 3. And it was disheartening for the kids, but it was because of race. I get that. I'm not, and that's, but I think that's something that Mark needs to try to get put over, because some of those groups I know left and went to other communities because of the fields. Again, it's not something you guys can control, it's Mother Nature. But it also has to do with that, but work with them on other things like that.
And that's part of, we know that. And I just signed a check Tuesday night for almost $7,000 for the water assessment to, I mean, it started out at $500, it's up to $7,000 for us. And we get no benefit. It floods every time it rains.
I know. And that's the thing, the complex is phenomenal. It really is, it's a great complex. But then when you have rains, and the parking is going against you.
Yeah, I mean, we have, I've been there too long. We've had great plans and tried everything we can possibly think of to do, and just keep getting shot at.
Right.
I think one of the things we need
So-
to hear is like.
I get it. I hear what you're saying. We
Yeah.
know what we're trying to do.
How many kids are there? Because my grandson played up there too, so I go up there.
Yeah.
I would drive around for 20 minutes to find a parking spot. And I've been to parking and walking and.
We've given up some tournament finally because we put on, I believe it was Labor Day, where we had teams from all over the state. You couldn't get near the place, and we all had to be parking directors, basically.
That's all tournaments on those.
Yeah.
No, but for us,
Where's
there,
that?
That
that's,
kills
that's
me.
the level.
That kills me. So,
We
so
can use
I
and
love
we
Mark.
can use.
I see Mark come by, Schultz, when he signs the checks, yeah, come on by. What's going on, Mark? Oh, I wish I could get the medals done, we got this going on, and we tried to do the volleyball thing, and let me know I can help you, Mark, you really gotta get out there and just push this, you gotta present this, you gotta be louder. You have this captive, just solid base of families and kids and the things that sell and work for your agenda and going before the county and going, look at all these people that showed up today. And it's such a cool feature. It's a place where they play and they have sports and it's fun. And you gotta be able to leverage that.
That's when I said we were.
Hire a marketing professional. It's
Before,
worth the investment.
before we were part of Fix-It, when we were doing things on our own, we did that. That's how we raised money and got the grants from the county. Put it together and blow the county away.
Right.
Okay?
Use that. That's intense.
And I don't know. I'm not real sure what I should or not shouldn't say, but the county is not backing us. Like we
It's not like you want.
So you have the vision.
Yeah.
Families.
Joint Fix-It, it's like joint Fix-It to get the millage, to get the tax.
Right.
because we're running
Yeah, I mean,
ourselves
you only get so many grants.
It's just like these,
funds,
just like everything else under Fixes Up on, it serves a massive amount of people in this community.
And then the county's gonna ask for the investment, because they're gonna ask eventually, is what's the ratio of people who participate at these Lake Fields that are from Pasco County, Hillsborough County, and Pinellas County? I don't know if you can tell.
Mark does that.
Does he know that?
Yes, he does. And we make all the different entities, cheerleading, football, soccer, baseball, all four have to report to Mark, who's in, and then we charge a fee for the people that are outside. Not a big fee.
No.
I mean, it's like 10 or, it's not much.
It's just an outer region fee or
It's
something, because baseball's, because we all know baseball, Little League is zip code bound, so you're bound.
Little League, right, we are not Little League.
I know, but Little League, we are Little League, Palmer, so we can't get anybody except in our zip code.
Right,
But
exactly.
then, there's another league that can bring in, was it the All-Stars or something?
The All-Stars can bring in from other areas, but it's limited zip codes.
Football was not limited,
No.
really, but we lost Pop Warner, they went over to Oldsmar. And soccer's not limited.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
that was, losing Pop Warner was
That is
because of
a-
I just think it's the amount of
everything
people
like
and the children and the families, that's a little stack of gold that you're leaving just sitting on the
Well,
table.
exactly.
For an opportunity to showcase and really push your agenda,
And
because you
Mark
need it.
Reynolds is saver up there? That's the thing. And that's what I was saying. We need to get more.
We digress, that's more
Yeah.
about the facility.
Yeah.
We're
Now,
talking
my
about-
suggestion was,
Yes.
I'd like to
And
see
I'm
a
part of
little
it, so
more.
that was my.
That's it.
Okay,
I
so,
think y'all should do this at every meeting.
that's why the workshops, we get
That's
more
the
of the
goal.
workshops.
Well, the goals
We know the goals, and we can go, hey,
Yeah, right.
let's help you out.
Exactly.
Okay, Palm Harbor, Parks and Rec.
I'm gonna hire a HR professional outside of ours to write mine next year, because I think there's more academics in libraries, because they're.
Oh, ain't going that way.
Yeah, I think the recreation farms are just more, meat and gravy and mashed potatoes and, but.
Yay,
Proof
sports.
is in the pudding.
It is, the review was done, I mean, I had no problem with any of the reviews, that came back. I'm not gonna say anything negative about anything. The advisory board, I got more response out of the advisory board individually. We did not, what I did is I forced, and especially since we missed a meeting or, we had some issues storm-wise, but I pushed all the directors, all the members of our advisory board to privately email all the responses. And I got a really good, I didn't get everybody's, but I got probably 85%, which I think was phenomenal for my group. And you'll attest to that.
Well, normally, and I will say this, normally it's sitting around a table like this with all the members going, okay, this, what you feel.
And discussing it.
And discussing
This
it,
time,
putting
I
down
mean,
comments and all that. kind of
every
stuff.
single person give me their unbiased, unaffected by anybody else's opinions. So we weren't, we weren't being wishy-washy. I mean, everybody had to give me their own comments this time. They had to grow up. They had to put their big boy pants on, and actually give me the comments. And I got some really good reviews back. And then that's what went into Erica's review. And then I was able to actually sit down with Erica on time and before it was due and discuss it at length and go through it, which is unique for me. or for John. And,
Hey, I had it turned in and it got taken back because it wasn't.
it was whatever. So, but the review is what it is. Again, if you haven't looked at it, please get a chance to look at it. The last little comment that was made with everybody's emphasis was a comparison between Erica and Mark. It was, the Eastlake Rec and Palmer Rec are not the same. Not even close. I don't care about the salary range or the pay, it's just the job description, and if we're expecting Erica and Mark to stand together and be judged on the same criteria, that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Mark has his own specific things that he does quite well. Erica has her own specific things that she does, and she does them quite well. And what we come, and I saw there's a salary recommendation within East Lakes. The salary recommendation in the Palm Harbor Recreation is just an increase. No percentages, no nothing, because I don't know what we can do. I don't know what our budgets can sustain. I don't know that we can give. We just gave a 4.4 quarter raise for COLA. That's all. That's good because we mimic the county. We follow the county's guidelines. But that's still 4.25% increase. They still got that increase. Whether you call it a COLA or you call it a raise, I mean, it's there and it's been given. So what do we do on top of that? I'm confident with Erica's review. I present it to you all. If you have any questions, ask. Goals wise, we're going to have, and it's going to come back to us, and I do plan to present it to PHCSA and have it all written out. We're doing a little bit more specific with her and asking her to give us long-term goals for each park. Because she has Sunderland, she has Putnam, she has Palm, she has the Whitechapel, she has, what are the goals for each of these facilities? She's got to put her grass hat on, or her recreation hat on for the goals for Putnam. She's got to put her, events management hat on for the hall and the chapel. And she's got to put her community involvement and programming hat on for the Palm Harbor Parks and Recreation main building and our multi-purpose building that's coming. And then Sunderland adds whole nother realm because it's sports. And now we're putting another building over there that's going to house programming.
Right.
Probably the building that Mark should have, but it's just actually a little pre-engineered metal building. But it's to take the programs, when we tear down our 12,000 square foot building, we have to move programs somewhere, and we're going to move them over there into a new building. So, that's how I think, that's how our goals are going to be presented, and we're still working on those. So that's why you didn't see new goals in her review this year. So, any questions?
Okay, we got to the reviews. Now we're getting to compensation, which is always the most difficult part of this one. Any general comments before we start? Before we go individually?
I think Erica's done an outstanding job. I think that I'm happy with, and seeing that she's working obviously with everybody else. There were some issues that were between directors before, and those are all gone, and I love seeing them work seamlessly together. And I talked to Erica a couple days ago, and I talked about salary. And I said, so you make the most money out of the 4 directors. And I said, you deserve every penny of it. You really do. Everything that center does and the amount of people that serves, it's distinction between market. It's like the 2 libraries are different. Your entity and her entity are completely different planets. But I've seen her hustle, and after COVID, coming out of COVID and all the programs, trying to work through that. I'm not there every day for sure, but I see what I see from what I can see, and then I've talked to her and worked with her over the past year. So outstanding job. I think she's done an incredible job. And like you said, what if, right now we're trying to replace some people in Lanswood, and it's hard to find people. Can you imagine trying to find replacements for the folks we have here?
That's where I would
Impossible.
So if we start
Mark
doing it
to
backwards,
deal with that
okay.
as he has.
No, I don't think we're doing it backwards or we're doing it forward. I think the first thing we need to discuss is what what financially can we absorb? I mean,
But
we
that
have.
depends on the directors.
Well, does it really depend on the director? Because the director hasn't been asked, can you?
Well, they have a budget, we don't have.
But their budget already exists, it's already been put together, it's
Right.
already been.
Well, I talked to
submitted.
Lois before we started, because I asked this question, because I knew it. And she said pretty much they can work within their budget, most of them have vacancies that they have budgeted in. So I just talked to Lois, I forgot to ask everybody else, but there is room for us to. And I think if they can't do it, they would have to come back to us and say, hey, you gave, whatever, we go too high.
In general, I think all of our entities have room. I think all of them will absorb whatever increase we ask them to do. They all have a slush fund, so to speak, maybe they don't want to call it that, but they all have money within the budget that is not totally spent. So, it's gonna be whatever we come up with. Is it fair to go down through? I mean, we can go down through each one individually.
I think we need to go with them individually, because we just finished talking about how they're all individual jobs. I don't think we just do a blanket overall, because.
And I think going forward, I think that if we do quartiles, if we do something for next year, that may be based on performance, based on something, there may be some steering that we can actually help the process, but it's not gonna happen this year. I like your idea of
Well,
just kind of.
I would just, that's why I said, if we start with the mid, I'll just kind of give you what I found.
Bring my darts.
I looked at, the library directors, we'll start with the two libraries, I guess they're a little similar, more similar than the two others. I looked at, 3 places, what they're getting in Oldsmar, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, they surround us, they touch us.
Yeah, okay.
And here's where they are. Susan Hurley in Oldsmar is making $100,274 in 2023. We're going back a year because the budget fines. Carrie, I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, I'll crucify it, but I won't. In Tarpon Springs is making $91,064. And Phyllis Bush in Dunedin is making $131,165. Matthew is at 93,000 and Lois is at 102. From what I read, Carrie at the Tarpon Springs Library was relatively new, a year or two.
I think
But
look at this, I think these are the salaries before.
yeah, I have them right here.
Okay.
So,
It's
and the, what I'm saying,
higher.
it's
Anthony's
no.
96, but he's almost 97,000 hours with the 4
The one in the.
Oh, I didn't do the 4 and a quarter. This was.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
the
the
4 and a
email.
quarter is not in there, because I didn't have, it was from last year they gave us.
107.
Okay, let me write them down again. So
Matthew
107.
is roughly 97,000 hours.
Okay,
Okay, Lois is 107.
okay.
Erica is closer to 117. And then Mark is 99.
Okay, so here's where I went, I'll just kind of throw this out there as we do it. We're talking, that's 2025, these numbers I'm giving you are 2023.
Right.
So 2 years ago.
Right.
So I'm sure they've gotten increases.
And did you check what's their facility size, what's the building
They're-
size?
they're all three of
There's
those.
10-year. There's a
But
lot of
what-
information.
but what I'm
that
saying
needs
is,
to be taken in.
We're paying our,
Please go.
all 2 out of the 3 of them are making more than our library directors. Those libraries are similar size. The communities are, I know for sure, Oldsmar's smaller than Palm Harbor. And so I thought, looking at what, in the amount of work they do, I went back and I looked at, we'll do Palm Harbor first. They all get ad valorem money. That comes. So what do they do outside of that? I looked at Palm Harbor Library, got these numbers from Matthew. They go outside government, he brought in $93,000 above the ad valorem. In Lois, brought in $83,000. This is above and beyond their job description to bring in extra money, I think. They get ad valorem money to run the properties. And I feel like when you compare it to the other locations, we are underpaying. I think we should think about that when we do decide. And I'll just quickly go over what I found in Parks and Rec. Then we can go into, this is just my personal, the way I looked at it. I looked at Parks and Rec, I compared Oldsmar and Dunedin to Palm Harbor, because they have rec centers, they have pier, they have multiple fields. And they're more in line with Erica than Marcus, because they have buildings to maintain, and what they came up with is Christopher Potts makes 116, which is close to just a little bit less than what we're paying Erica now, but this was 2 years ago. And Dunedin, I couldn't find Tarpons, they're making 140,000. Again, clearly a big difference.
City's water.
Is it a lot?
Yeah,
And a much higher millage on tax base too.
Yeah, they're,
They do.
And that's the other thing too, is I know exactly where you're going, but we can't do
I
that
don't
until we.
match. I understand.
No, but I
What else do we
understand.
have?
What else do we?
I mean, because I always say with the law, when I was advocating the advisory board, for this library, I always said every library in Mills County is different.
Yeah.
They all serve different populations and different needs, and lower income versus higher incomes have different needs that they need. And I always said that's how you have to build your library for the future. Maker spaces for some and getting online and applications for another. It's always going to be different, but there are some similarities.
There are
But
similarities.
then,
But you
out
can't
of all the
put it in
different
our
areas of
permit,
Mills County,
but
there's
surrounding us, I don't wanna see one of our directs go, I'm going to the city
Yeah,
next door
that's
because
the
they're,
concern.
because they're gonna treat me better. That's what I think we have to think about. That's where I'm coming from. Erica, when I looked at what she did, in addition, her additional income almost equals her ad valorem. What she brought in over $1 million in outside income.
Hire them.
That's what I mean, she's an employee that somebody would like to grab, I'm sure. You know, if you look at it that way. She got ad valorem 1.5 million, and she brought in outside of that 1.03 in outside income. You know, we have to think about those kind of things when we evaluate.
What do you think about that, Phil?
Well, that's why she gets the high reviews that she gets all the time. I mean, but she also has that 1.034 million is supported by the facilities that she has. The programming that she's able to run that Mark can't run. Mark doesn't have the ability to run those
And
facilities.
that's why we can't compare them.
And neither can the libraries, because they're a library. They can't
They
freaking run a summer camp out of the library because they're a library.
built-in benefits.
That's her job, to raise that money. That's part of her,
And a vehicle to
that's
do
her
that.
job, and we've given her the vehicle to do it.
Right.
Where she excels is the pushing, and that summer camp program was at 100,000 this year, and then the next year with the same facility and the same staff, it's 150,000, and then the next year it's 175,000 because she figures ways to get more out of the facility, and that's why the growth is there. So yeah, that's why she gets such high ratings, because she's there all the freaking time. Although she gets, and everybody does.
And again, Phil,
the PTO just drives me nuts.
Not arguing that, of course, she's outstanding. But how does that, for what Chief just explained, do you take any merit in that information?
Yeah, I do, but I also discount that a little bit. And
It has her ability to do.
but she has
She does.
the ability. The programming is, that's why she exists, is because of that. So it's a natural thing of.
Product.
It's a natural
But
product.
But if you sat on your heels,
Just what
maybe you didn't increase
you
it
didn't increase it like
150,000.
that. That's
Right, exactly.
So that's-
Exactly.
The difference.
I mean,
I can drive a car, but I can drive it really well. There's
as I've sat on this board over 7 years, I've seen that go up, 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 up.
Yeah, that's where the number 3 rating would be. If she just continues to do her job, and the camps go along at $75,000 every year, and we have 150 people in the camp this year, we have 150 people in the camp next year, we have 150. Then she's doing her job.
Right.
She's doing a great job at her job, but no more. But because that camp goes from 150 to 200 next year, and then bursting at the seam the next year, and then fully full 3 months before camps even start, this year, then she's a 4.5 on her rating. She's excelled, and she's almost she's that You know what?
So tell us what you think of her.
Well, but
No, I love her to death. I mean, I'm her biggest proponent, and that's
No, I agree.
just nature of the beast. But I'm also her worst critic, because I'll tell you right now, it pisses me off when she gets so staunch about, and stands up. I wish she was a little bit more, what's the term, John? Because you understand what I'm
I
saying.
know exactly what you're saying. Her
Sensitive.
passion,
Sensitive to her surroundings.
her passion gets her into trouble.
Understanding.
And
it's not a bad thing.
one of the
But her passion
comments
gets her into trouble.
that one of you all made in here was it was inappropriate for her to bring, let the public come to stand up on her behalf at one of our fixer meetings. And one of you all said something about that, and I agree. And I talked to her about that, and I said, yeah, it was. She said, but I had to stand up for myself. I said, well, did you? Did you really? Because I think we all had your back. I think there was enough support.
But she saw that she needed to.
She
She
saw
only
that
saw
she-
a certain way to do it.
Exactly. And
But again, it's her passion that gets
You
her
don't want
into
to turn
trouble.
too much of that
In a
off.
sense, but right, you don't want to shut it down, you don't want to stop it.
no,
Because to Phil's point, that 1.1 million or 1.15 million dollars that she brought in was also scholarships. So she would go to nonprofits, she would go to other organizations to support and scholarship kids into the camp. So it's not just filling up the camp, she's doing other things to bring kids who can't become part of it into it. So
Again, she's been here how long?
since Rick Burton retired, but she, you have to understand, she came in as she did not qualify for the position when we hired her. She did not meet the qualifications. And we did not see why that should deter. We interviewed people from out of the state and everywhere else, and we said, to hire you, you have to do this. You have 12 months to get your certification. You've got 24 months to get this additional education, and she went out and did it all. And
So how long has she been? She's a superhero. We get that.
12 years.
So a substantial amount of
No,
time.
no, she was
Not
there
as
before
director,
she
she
became
was there
director.
before, but she wasn't director. I wanna say she's been around for a few.
I think 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Well,
She was there when my kids, all my four,
Oh, no, she was, but she wasn't the director of.
Right, but she's.
We always dealt with her.
It's because
Yeah, we dealt with her.
Rick Burton
Rick was
had
the
the
director.
tie and the dress shirt and didn't want to get his hands dirty. So that's why.
I didn't.
But-
There you go.
I never even knew
There
that.
you go.
But
That's
see,
the
we
reason.
kind of circle back to what you're saying of comparisons with the others. I think without having good data, right? I think acting upon that now is premature.
Maybe, yeah.
With the steps we're gonna take next year, maybe we find out that we are significantly lower than where we need to be, and we can address it, and now we can adjust at that
And
time.
I think what my whole point was, we go into this meeting with all these arguments, and I think because we're always comparing and this and that, instead of comparing them with each other, let's compare them with their real peers, which are other people doing a similar job, as opposed to with each other. And let's look at, I feel like, I sat with, how we bicker back and forth every time we go through this, and who got a bonus and who didn't, and because we don't look at them individually, we do it. And I'm just hoping, like we did to this meeting, that each of us can look at it and say, you know what? They deserve that increase that the advisory board gave, even if it's not the same as the other person.
Well, but don't forget, we advise the advisory boards not to give any
Right, some of them did, some
recommendations,
of them
but
didn't.
so looking individually, let's kind of look individually. Matthew, all right,
Mhm.
looking at his review from the advisory board, looking at his self-evaluation and the review from PHCSA, my recommendation would be only 2%.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying, is that based on our current structure.
based on our current structure,
I would only base it at 2% because he didn't wow me in the sense, and really, in my opinion, a 2% is kind of a gift. Because again, he was
The verdict's
good.
out.
They're right, yeah.
Huh?
The verdict's out for me. I don't feel, 2% is, you've been doing a good job. You have that, you've been doing.
He's improved
improved
with, and advisory board working with him for that continuous improvement.
I'm
So
sorry.
already got the total, 4.25 is all the
That just
employees.
keeps you even with inflation.
That keeps you.
Yeah, it keeps you even with inflation, so I'm taking that out.
Employee there.
That's
It
all.
has nothing to do with their performance.
Right.
They all go down.
Based on my performance, I see too.
I would agree. What?
No,
Okay, only because.
the COLA increase, I
That's
agree
the
with
vision?
it. I agree with giving it because the county does, but, maybe is it only public jobs that get COLA increases?
Still want the bullet.
I sure as hell don't.
Ever, never.
Do you?
I've never.
No?
It doesn't give additional raises though.
Correct.
They gave 4.25 and they gave a $500 bonus for their employees, period.
I agree, you're right.
Well, the 4.25, wasn't that a sliding scale too?
No,
No, not this
It
year.
was,
Not
this,
this year.
okay, so
Not
this year's
across the
4.25,
board this year.
okay.
Normally, it is a sliding
So
scale.
you're proposing a 2% bump on that?
For Matthew alone. And but again, looking at each director individually, and you're absolutely correct, based on his performance, that would be my recommendation for Matthew.
2%'s on the table. Next,
2%.
Lois.
Okay, okay.
Wait, let's just
So,
go.
let's go.
Why does Lois go next?
Because that's the
That's
way
all-
the list
I was
is.
gonna say, because I always thought the hardest part of this is going to be, is that internal entity and, oh, wait, if they're getting that.
Well, that's why we're doing it here.
And I thought, well, do you do it blind? No, you don't, because you still have the, where you came from, behind it. So this is, I'm enjoying this, you have to love all four directors.
You do.
That's
You
the
do.
beauty of this
You
board.
do.
And,
You do.
and this way, we're doing this here, so when we get in our public meeting, we can go bum, 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 no issue.
See, I think Lois is doing a great job. I think she got the 4.25. She's increased her workload on her own, because she's added programs on her own
Yeah.
to increase revenue. She's added revenue sources.
Come to the library anytime and watch her. She's
Well,
everywhere.
She's
know.
the energizer.
well,
bunny.
just the
I mean,
passport fingerprinting, she brought in $40,000
That's
extra
huge.
dollars. That's good.
But the extra value that she's bringing extra value to the community.
She is, it's not just money.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. She's bringing
And that's out of
value
her
to the
scope.
community.
And
That is out of her scope.
And
And
there-
it's
You
above
have to
and
do
beyond.
that.
And there was no place else in East Lake you can go get fingerprints.
Okay, so we all
or
agree,
go
how,
get passports.
what's the percentage?
4.
2.5.
7?
So, good idea.
I have
Yeah.
financial-
This is
I-
always-
I'm not giving you a percentage because
This is
it's Fix's rule, not mine. This is not a comparative with Matthew.
No,
This is a, does it go back to something you said? Do they have the budgets for this? And in my mind, I'm going, all right, so
Lois is what, 107?
107.
I'm just making it up. 'cause-
No, exactly, no, you have to think about it.
you gave her a 5% raise, it's $5,000. Do I think that those budgets can absorb that? Absolutely. So that becomes immaterial. What do I measure it against? The same way Sandy just did it, because that's what I did last year when I did my tap dance. But let me be clear, when I did that tap dance, it's because we had to come up with a number. Well, how did we come up with a number? Well, I looked at other entities around the county. I did not look at the ones that are above us, I looked at the ones that were similarly sized. St. Pete Beach, one of the other ones, and we were the only one that, outside Palm Harbor Library, that was not tied to some sort of city, some sort of other revenue source. She was the lowest paid then. At 107, she's probably right in that line, at the bottom end of that line. So the question you guys have to answer is she paid commensurate with the job she does for her community and the program she builds, just like you would say for Erica. The program she builds is not reflected in her salary. Honestly, this is a great problem for you to have. Going through all this stuff, you do your post-mortem, your problem is not this. It's what you're establishing for what's next. Right now, you got 4 directors, kick ass and take names. And so, from a lowest perspective, I don't know. I think 107 still puts her at the bottom of library directors in our county. And that's what I think you have to measure her against. They are different. They are wildly different, to Ron's point. But if she were to leave here, where would she go? She'd probably go to another library manager. What would she get paid based on her knowledge and her skill set, 40 years as a librarian, and going out and saying, hey, you know what, libraries can also do passports and fingerprints, and guess what, people are gonna line up literally to do that.
And if they
I'm doing my sales pitch again, but like, I get it, like, that's, but you've got 4 like
That's
that.
true.
They all do it.
It's true, right, it's not a sales pitch, it's.
But and that's what it is, that's exactly what it is, like, she does a good job, her evaluations say that. You know, the biggest problem is like, hey, Lois, here's what the numbers actually mean, like, let's ratchet it down a little bit.
But my feeling is that we're hamstrung by the salary ranges that are already pre-established.
We're still with that.
And we're, no, but that's what I'm saying, we're hamstrung into that. And while I agree with exactly, you and Sandy said the exact same thing, we need to look out, we will. But we have to work with what we have right now.
Well, if we did the 4% that was suggested, that would bring Lois up to 111,280.
She's still gonna have to park her own car at that rate. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, the really,
That's just because there's not enough parking here.
you know, the
Exactly.
but the thing that shines on Lois, if you read her comment to your review, she says, as I reach kind of the end of my career as a librarian, and she's excelled at it. I mean, from being what was she called it? My daughter sat and she read to my daughter when she was younger at the Paul Harbor Library. And it was Miss Lois would read to her, and then she became a librarian here. And yeah, we've had the ups and downs with Lois. We've had the ups and downs with the advisory board. But you know what? We're in a lot better place today than we have been in the past. And especially with us discussing the salary and not being brought to us at the last minute where we argue. So we're not arguing that. So now it's how do we be fair to a woman who's put her life into this? And this year I've seen more come out of this library. I mean, probably because I've been more aware of it. It probably isn't anymore, or maybe it is more. But I know she's done a lot here every year. But she's done a heck of a lot this year.
So make a different recommendation.
And it's going to go into the next year. I'm at 5%.
Okay.
5%?
So that's my
I'm hired, so I've had some flexibility. I love her. I mean, I thought you guys were gonna come down closer, but now you're being reasonable. We're all thinking about the person,
That's what we
the
need.
director's
And
position.
what they do
How they're
here,
doing, that's awesome. I love it.
and we are explaining it to ourselves so that when we go into our meeting next Wednesday, this is what the fix the board's recommending.
The old
We
way
don't
was
have to freaking
defensive.
discuss it.
The old way was defensive.
It was
I got all this great
Now
stuff,
it's
but I'm
all
like, I need
positive.
to combat that. It can't be all perfect. I
That
can't
was
do this.
offensive. Wait, no,
It's progressive.
Yes.
Cool.
It is.
And let me be perfectly clear. Never mind.
Well, I would agree.
I grew up in a middle class family, and this is what I'm.
Well, you agree on the 5%?
So we all agree on 5%?
So what I did was I,
9% increase.
It is.
Yeah.
9.5.
And then I go look at Matthew in the eyes and said, we're gonna get a 6%.
Here, but again,
Started, she
but
said
you know what,
25
here,
years.
but Bill, it's Matthew for what Matthew did.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what Lois did. Matthew needs to raise to that level. And that should be the driver.
That's the goal.
It's the goal.
But I'm not sure he's not at her level.
Okay, but why then,
I think he's.
he shouldn't get as much then as a raise if he's not at that level. So there's really no disparaging conversation to be had.
Well, I'm, you know.
Because he'll hear it here when he says he'll get
25 years
2%.
I think
With
you
the
know, this song
4%
should
increase.
just longevity.
Lois already is.
okay, here we go. We're getting into it right now.
But again, you're starting,
We're doing it.
you're putting the two
We were okay at
together.
2% before we talked about
Stop.
Lois.
Well, no, the 2%.
It was very quiet until we talked about Lois's percentage.
Right,
2%
this
was
is
an
what happens
acceptable
every
number.
time.
Human
I'm
nature.
not sure if I agree with the 2%. I know you guys were
Okay.
pushing for the 2%. I understand that. I understand.
Based on his review that you did,
Right?
2% is adequate for that review.
Okay, so then next year I've gotta do a 4.7 like everyone else is doing.
No, he needs to raise himself to a 4.7.
Show us the goals
I
and
hear what
tell
you're
them.
saying, but I'm not sure if the directors at this, around the table here are at a 4.7. I don't think they're walking on water as much as everyone says.
And I'm not gauging him
Give
at
them
that.
that increase to support them,
But-
they're walking on
No,
water.
back, wait, before you go. The other thing is, the way that Paul Harbor Library reviews their director, the way that East Lake Library reviews their director, cannot be compared. The number that you're giving is the number you're thinking. If on the other side, you know, they may give him a higher, I mean, the number starts at a certain point, and I don't see that Lois's numbers or Erica's numbers are really running the same thing, but you're saying he's doing a great job. It's just you kept him at the middle point instead of taking him to
Right.
the higher level.
That's
So
exactly the point.
Let's just say here, we kind of can just say this amongst ourselves. Are we basing this on numbers or what we have seen progression of? How many people are actually basing it on those numbers?
I'm basing it on all of it, I'm looking
But
at
you're
the
not
whole thing,
looking
but I
at
have to
numbers.
take, what the advisory board
Right.
rated,
I'm not.
but I also have to take into account monies raised and other things like that, and what I have seen him
Exactly,
do,
the things.
that's where I'm at.
I know, I just wanna make, because I don't want it to come that, because they got a higher number.
this is all opinion. It's
It's
none of
not a
this,
number
none of
thing.
this.
It's all what
Exactly.
the person has done, and that's what we.
It's the art, not a science.
It is not an art, it's a science.
There's no science in the numbers in this. This is
No.
purely what do we feel.
And what do we see, and I think, looking at Lois bringing in, this year she brought in the passports and the fingerprinting. Those are two absolutely needed services in this area. Because if you want to get fingerprints, you're almost a day. Right, I think that's the closest place where we're kind of one.
If I can make just one quick comment, because
However,
one of the things that I keep hearing from both sides of this is that I think that there's two different things going on. You have the percentage based on merit, but then you're also questioning whether or not these salary ranges and are they appropriate based on other cities. And I think that's two separate conversations.
right, it
And
is.
then they're getting blended here
They should.
in this because, is Matthew appropriate? You've got Eastlake Director salary range starting at 83.4, and you've
No,
got
they're not.
Harvard Library
Oh,
starting at
Harvard's higher.
83.4, and it's higher at the end. So these salary ranges I feel are off,
They
and
are.
I feel like that needs to be evaluated maybe separately
Not now.
than
That's for next year.
the merit. And it could be next year, it could be, in July, maybe that's a
It should
project
be
or a
immediate.
I think that's, so that's a
Well-
little separate there. I think though that, I just wanted to point out that,
Yeah, I think.
when you have your salary ranges, and are they being paid appropriately compared to their peers is one thing versus their merit rates tonight that you're just.
Yeah.
But that kind of goes back to redeveloping the job description, doing a salary survey based on the job description, based on the facility, not a library, based on the facility. And it's not just in Pinellas County, we need to look outside, out throughout the state of Florida. And then you're absolutely right, but that's not for tonight, that needs to be separate, that's next year is when we take all of that into consideration.
I agree. So then
Because
We're
we can
talking
adjust the
about
salary
looking
ranges
at
at that time.
what they're making, yeah.
So are you suggesting then that it would be more appropriate to do a bonus? So that this way salary ranges can be reevaluated and then potentially director salaries can
No,
be
I'm
reset?
saying if you're talking percentages, I think you just need to take into consideration percentage. This person gets a 2, this person gets a 5, this person gets a 4, based on that performance review, and not take into consideration, well, then that puts Lois at this amount, and that puts Matthew at this amount, or Erica at this amount. It doesn't matter what amount they're at, because it's based on that percentage.
Correct.
I think the percentage should be the conversation tonight.
And that's, you're right.
Again, that's my
However-
personal opinion, and then I think the next thing is, you have some changes, I read, Erica's gonna be doing some other things, and it's brought up also that Mark, is he in the right range with his, for how long he's been here, but those are the conversations that are any
The
of
library is now closed. If there are any patrons remaining in the building, please come to the front desk and let your presence be known. We will be locking the doors and leaving for the evening.
Oh my
Thank you.
It won't let us out.
So I don't know if that's not really helpful to you.
However, in the merit raise is something that, not merit raise, a bonus. A bonus is not out of the ordinary because we just went through a horrendous year that put tremendous strain on
All right, yeah, I'll be here for the time and,
all of our directors.
I can hear you bumping and listening, so. This is
It's when the microphone, gives us the feedback, Lois, that we know it's in. Literally, we could, with all the
Bypass
in the
the
world,
salary discussion, give them a bonus instead.
we could give them all across the board bonus and say that this year's been just a strain on everybody and the performance you've given us has been, above and beyond the call of duty, and we want to reward you for that as a one-time payment. I don't know how it affected the libraries, but I know that, Mark had, with the storms, I know what Erica went through with the storms, those things, and then this year with the election and being an early, polling place, but huge strain. And that was just this year, so bonuses are fair.
Technically, it's current year, not previous year, which is what we're evaluating, because previous year ended September 30th.
Yeah, true. But still, I mean, we know they've all done that.
That was a fill count, by the way.
Yeah, you're right. So we could do that. I mean, we could give a merit bonus, or we could just talk pure raise, or we could give a $1,000 bonus and a little bit smaller raise if we want to get the percentages in more control. I don't know. It's whatever you guys want to do.
Chair?
But I understand.
It's all you, Chair.
It's not all here, we're a team, and this is that idea of this meeting was to hammer this out here and get it so that when we have our meeting and the directors are there, we're not putting them through all this.
And no matter what you say, we can't compare them.
We can't,
Yeah.
we
They will.
can't, but they have to.
But they gotta get over it. They gotta grow up and be big boy, big
And
girl,
we know
and
that
get over
we're
it.
evaluating them
But-
individually.
And I don't think we're gonna lose anybody over what we do here right now.
No.
Even if we didn't give anybody a raise, I don't think anybody's going anywhere.
I vote for no raises.
Sure,
Oh,
but you don't get a vote, other than that. I mean, the county's looking at us, they, every time we give raises, they go,
Oh, well.
they cringe at us,
We can
but
vote
we
them out
still
if we
do
don't
it.
like it. We'll vote them out. They can vote us out, they can get rid of us.
I still think,
Get rid of us.
I still think we oversee
I
our
don't think they will,
directors
they don't want this job themselves.
quite well.
It's hard to defend.
They don't want this job.
Alright, so where we at?
Well,
We got a
Long
2
time
and
in
5?
office soon, so I don't know what's gonna happen.
Can I ask one quick? Do you not think our directors make our job a whole lot easier than being having to go beat them up to get the information we want out of them?
It's true, they do make it easy.
They do make it very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly.
Okay. Just.
Where are you going with that?
But
Which direction are we going?
I mean, yeah, no,
They are, they're phenomenal.
That's the expectation for their job, though. That's just normal performance.
No,
That's what you said, that's normal performance.
So we start there, we go up. I don't.
Yeah,
They're doing their job.
We don't even.
we would treat them with lowest between 4 and 5. We can't vote here, so.
Right.
No, but we should come to a consensus because that's what needs to be presented next week.
Don't we need
Do
to
we go
decide
with-
whether we're doing that or doing the bonus first?
You can do both.
Well, let's do the salaries and then.
I'm sorry I threw that out there.
No, I think.
Hey,
we
that's
have to
all I
remember
get.
that-
We just
I don't know
Yeah,
what you
so-
get.
I get it.
I agree with, I think what John said about it being, a lot of the things you mentioned go on next year's, because it was after September.
That's fine.
Well,
I don't think we forget it, we just push it to, so it's in the fiscal year, the correct fiscal year. And that way we
But there may have been a storm that fell into the last year that we never even think, but anyways.
Well, we won't forget these two, I promise.
We won't.
forget them.
No, we'll be still rebuilding houses for
Yeah,
the next
so-
5 years.
So,
Yeah.
we had a 4 and a 5 come out, do we wanna come in the middle? I don't know, just throw it out there.
That was only 2 votes though, right? Or 2.
Two
Two
suggestions.
suggestions,
Two
all
suggestions, yeah.
suggestions?
So your overall, right now, you're looking at Matthew, 6.25 overall increase with COLA and the percentage we're offering. If you go 5, you're at 9.25 for lowest. If you go 4.5, you'd be what, 8.75, so. It's your pension pennies, but still, pay pennies. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, what I hear is we're giving raises, so let's just.
4 to 5% is reasonable for Lois and for the activities and stuff, that doesn't bother me at all. I don't care if you go to the high side or the low side of the average, or the middle.
I give 5. For
5, okay, how many like 5, we can't vote.
I did, I said it, so.
I now like 5.
I like 5.
All right.
Just being a little cautious.
No, but we have to start somewhere.
We have to
I
start
wrote
somewhere.
down numbers that I wanna start at. And I think 4 for lowest to start at. I have no problem going to 5 at all.
Okay,
I really don't.
so the, who's next on the list?
Mark.
Mark, okay, go on to Mark.
Oh, no, Mark, oh, yeah.
And, all
That's a tough
the big
one.
takeaway from Mark is, he does it alone. He's all
Yeah.
alone.
It's awful.
It's really is.
It's awful, this is awful, it's just,
It sounds like
and the amount of things that go on there.
16-17% increase last year, you got a 4% now, so his salary's up 20% than it was a year ago. He's over 21% higher than when he was a year ago.
You get a big pop.
So we got a big pop, because he was under the minimum starting point. So he was under at 84, he was 79,000, he, from 79, he jumped up to 99.
Yeah, we're trying to catch him.
That's what we did for last year, that's why we did so much, and we agreed to do it.
So that was a huge increase last year. He went, so based on performance, we said
I say we buy him a dog and a Frisbee.
Dog and Thursday.
You just have a bathroom within 5 miles of his trailer.
Yeah, dog and a Frisbee.
The one that doesn't need to be pumped.
I was gonna say, if you go there, just put up a big.
I would feel comfortable with 5%, sort of, and also, just the guts are, you can't go, because he's already got a 4.25 roll. And another 5 would give him a 9.25%. I kind of get that, I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know what you guys think, I don't know.
Our board felt that way.
Did they?
It was arranged in that.
So out of gut reaction for me would have been 3, only because of what we did last year, and that's.
Yeah, I would be okay with that too, to be honest, because it was a big increase last year, I would be fine with that.
I'd still give him an increase rather than keep it at, level, because I could easily say nothing.
Right.
But I think he's shown with the parking, with everything he's doing for the parking lot, with the meadows increase, and it ain't for lack of effort.
No.
No, it's exactly.
And I know he feels like you were saying, he feels guilty that he hasn't been able to perform, but it's not because he hadn't tried.
No.
He doesn't have anything he doesn't have the vehicles to do anything.
Right.
He's stuck, he's trying everything he can,
So
it's a frustrating position.
And what you don't see, our entities raise a lot of money themselves and take care of a lot of the complex themselves. So you don't see that part of it because it's not in Mark's report. It's not any part of that, and maybe that's more of a thing that he should bring to the board.
I think he added,
Exactly.
I think he added that, did he not add that into his budget this year?
No.
Because that's been my biggest complaint for the last, 3 or 4 years, is that his budget is not real.
Yeah.
Right.
The budget's not real, and I don't know, I thought it addressed his user group
I
input.
thought he was, it was modifying what he was giving us, because we didn't see.
I forget what it was, I think.
Didn't we have a line item that shows the expenses that we help the sports with, if I'm not
It
mistaken?
just, see, user agreements, it just said 510.
No. Go down to property, it was in his property, in his maintenance and stuff.
Right.
Anyway, that's what I always told him, I said, you've got to show, because that's a value that's in your budget, if your user group gets nuked tomorrow, and they can't pay for the mowing the grass or the fertilization, you have to. It's gotta be part of your budget.
Well, it's kind of hard to find.
That is in our budget. What I'm saying is, like, baseball is spending like 30,000 right now on their own, and they've got bids to do a roof of 20-something
Yeah, I
thousand.
don't know
I'm
if
just
Erica
saying.
shows that either, because baseball does that the same in Palm Harbor, they put tons of money.
Yeah,
But it doesn't come out of her budget, so she
No, it
doesn't,
doesn't.
so she doesn't show it, right.
Where I was at
But
is,
that's good
It
information
is,
to present.
That's what I'm saying.
it
Yeah.
doesn't show on the budget.
I'm at a 4 for Mark.
I dropped back.
I'm at a 4 for Mark as well.
Four?
I'm at a 4 for Mark.
How many grade 4 for Mark?
All this.
Okay, so, hey, this will be a whole lot easier next week, guys.
We need to show up.
Yes. We need a quorum. We need a quorum.
I already gave my proxy to Ron.
Okay, now we're
I did
at.
that last night, no, it was last night we were talking about it, he goes, oh yeah, you'll be at the meeting tomorrow night, I go, what?
You're getting close to mine.
Well, it's only, I can't see the clock.
It's after 8, that's the idea.
We only got one to go.
Yeah.
Erica. Ideas. I'm not gonna be the one to say it.
5.
5. Others.
I was thinking 25.
No, I was thinking 7, so, I'll back that with what I'm saying.
Sales pitch.
We have said we will give raises for increase responsibilities, increase in the job. We haven't written it, but I know what's coming this year. not
It's coming.
next year.
It's coming
What's
25.
coming
So the checks in the
this
mail?
year?
So what is, okay, so ignorance, right? I haven't heard a lot about dates or anything else like that. I
In
hear,
this next calendar year, they'll be tearing the building down next
Okay.
year. That means that facilities will change. She will have to move programming over to Sunman.
right,
She will start a construction project on site that's gonna just change her life.
So Phil, let's look in the rearview mirror for now.
That's next.
This is part of the review. Let's look that way.
right, let's look back, not forward.
Last year.
Things that are coming up are not what
And
we're.
why I would be giving her a raise for this year.
But they haven't come up yet.
We'll see it's okay, alright, I hear you.
No, we're just being realistic.
I see increased responsibility.
So are you saying you would give her?
But we're basing an increase
So
on.
Mark,
I'm still gonna go back to, I
So
think,
Mark should get a bigger amount because in the future, he's gonna have more responsibility too.
You're right, I get it. I get it.
But Phil,
I'm just asking you.
I get it. I
we're
understand.
basing it on past performance, not future gains.
And there's nothing stopping us from giving.
No, there isn't, but we already did that.
Halfway into next year.
And she's had sweat coming
I
out.
mean,
Yeah, hook her up.
if you could give her another 3% back in March, she'd
Well,
have more responsibility.
I'll pack into what she's done this year, but, cause I am the president of the advisory board, so I am the one that's supposed to be to advance what I'm saying for her. What she's done this year for the community that goes above and beyond is, the pier.
Yeah.
She took that on her own to get that done with the risk of the county not reimbursing her for the benefit of the community, which was not in her job description at all. She didn't
Or in her
have to-
budget.
Or in her budget, she was able to make it happen.
That's I don't wanna do a comparison, that's a fingerprint moment. That's how I look at that, like, that's an
And that's-
outstanding thing.
And you're absolutely right.
That's how I look at that, so that's why I
But you're
came
not
up.
making comparisons, you're stating fact.
A
That is
moment.
big
Thing.
That's a moment,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, she went
I
out
agree.
above
It's
and
no
beyond.
longer than a
That's
moment.
It's a measurable item.
Right,
Alright, so let's go on. So you say 5?
so far.
I'm gonna back off a little bit, so I still say 7.
Give me why though, give me that extra.
Without but remember, take out what's coming, only look
Fill
at
them
the
up.
past.
Well, he did.
I get it, I just,
Yeah.
I'm just there, the pier, the programming that she's had to do, the fencing projects that are gonna be, but that's maintenance, that's but that's above and beyond her work scope. It was raising the money for it. Her efforts to get reimbursements from the county, which which Lois does too.
Yeah.
And I give her credit for that, but I think she's gone above and beyond her job description and working with the county. And then, what she's had to do this year, even with the architect and, this past year,
Exactly,
it's
there you
taken her
go.
out of her office and out of her realm is the meetings that she's had to attend with emergency management and the planning stages, so I'll go that's what she's had to do this year. And planning this new facility, because it's not only is it a multi-purpose facility, but it's also a step-down shelter, which we have discovered this year, if this is gonna be an ongoing thing,
Yeah.
then maybe this building is really, really needed, and more than just a, multi-purpose, we need the shelter, because we don't have a Category 5 shelter in Palm Harbor. And so, that's increased work scope.
too, correct?
It'll serve whoever,
Yeah.
It's a North
Serves the
County,
entire
it's a North
area.
County shelter.
That's
But
what
it
I'm-
serves the evacuation areas, which are mostly coastal regions, so. Anyways, that's what I.
But Phil, to add on, if I may,
Sure.
after Helene, because that happened in September. The food,
So we can give her that?
yes. We're not giving her Milty, we're giving her Helene.
If we give her Helene, she
She
stepped up
organized
and
food.
organized a food week. She had volunteers come in. She paid out of her pocket, out of her budget. She bought the food. She had a lot of volunteers to come in. Using a DeWalt screwdriver to separate pork to make pork
Worked out
sandwiches.
really good, I will say that.
And we had a distribution chain where we took food out to homes.
There
this
was
is
3
above
of them
and
she
beyond,
did,
but
that
this-
was
I'll share
above and
this.
beyond what she
If
should
you
have
didn't
done.
Now
volunteer
you're
to do it,
affecting this and me.
I'm gonna affect you because I went out. We loaded up my truck with the boxes of food, and we went into Crystal Beach, and we went house to house.
Nice.
I had this lady come out, and I almost started crying. She came out, and she just broke down in tears, and just hugged me, and said, I didn't know where I was gonna get food tonight. I mean, they're only a mile and a half away from my house. I had to clean leaves out of my pool. That's how bad I was affected. I had some leaves in my pool. And I lost power for a couple of days.
My mom lost everything, our power and electricity, and nothing went out where I live. We were fine.
You know, but that's what our Parks and Rec, and that's what our director did, and she organized that, and she went out and made that happen, which I thought was phenomenal. I mean, we're out on the beach. I mean, contractors were out. If you didn't go out and go to Northeast St. Pete, they haven't picked up the trash yet. It's still
They haven't
everybody's
picked up in
belongings.
Crystal Beach either.
Well, it's just.
You just bought yourself an extra basis point.
It's
Good
just,
job.
it's just.
So now I'm at 6.
So, anyways, that's it, and I didn't even cry.
Say that.
Some of us were stuck in the kitchen while others were out delivering food.
I delivered.
Yeah, you delivered the food. I got
I got the hugs.
kitchen.
I got the hugs and the
Yeah.
accolades, man.
I got barbecue sauce.
This isn't
all
your
over
re-
me.
this
And
isn't
then
your
cooked
review.
the wall grill.
Stay focused.
Yeah.
Alright, so I
So I'm at 6.
Six.
I'll go with 6.
Me too.
3 for 6.
6.
6.
The county gave, and so we did that. The county gave a $600 retention.
$500.
It was actually a retention bonus.
Yeah.
It was to show the county, because all their employees, they're trying to keep their employees from going to work for Amazon. Okay, so they gave a $500 little check. I think we ought to give our directors a $500 check too, just to show we appreciate.
Well, where are we at on the?
That's what I heard. I just got it out there. We got the bonus. We got the.
Are you confirmed on the 6?
No, we all voted on 6.
Okay,
Okay, well, we
we're
didn't
six.
hear you, so we
hear that.
didn't know.
I already came down to 6.
And I would agree on the $500 retention. For everybody.
For everybody.
Taxed up, right?
Well, of course.
That's what the
How's
company
everybody
did.
feeling about $500?
It's taxable, yes.
Okay.
So they taxed it up minus the.
Honestly, I'd like to see $1,000. It's an extra $500 a piece. That's another $2,000. I think that was incredible what we just went through, and what they went through, and all the flooding and the holes and all that. And we're at this point.
There's nothing saying we can't reward them for what they did now.
I like that.
I do too. I'm willing, yep.
500 seems,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I got $500 gift
We
card.
were
I can buy
talking,
dinner.
No, I like that.
You got the extra percent for Erica.
Alright, so we can get this going and we can go home. Everybody who agrees with $1,000 bonus for each one.
This is not a vote.
This is not a vote, but yes, I agree.
It's not a vote, it's a consensus.
It's a
It's a
consensus.
consensus.
Consensus, and all that.
Alright, so we can come to next month's meeting and
So be out of there
And we
in
won't be
15
tearing
minutes.
ourselves and our directors apart.
That's what I wrote down before this even started.
A motion for that too.
We all make these motions.
I wasn't going
Okay,
crazy.
let's set this up.
Now, let me just say something else. So, financial votes. Let me make sure that I'm correct. I can vote for Erica's raise, but I can't vote for Mark's raise.
Correct. If it's financial, only the appointed
The
directors,
four county
appointed directors vote, and the advisory
and the
board.
advisory board directors.
So
So
we got-
I can only vote for Erica's.
The Tamara.
Yeah, Tamara. Yeah,
The
Tamara's
four county
Right.
appointees
Yes.
and the one advisory board representative.
And I
Correct.
can't make motions.
No,
But
but anybody can make the motion.
I know, but let's
And
get
in the past,
You could suggest.
but in the past, remember, we also, you can, if we were gonna talk about percentages, everybody can talk about the money, which is what it comes down to voting on.
Right.
Correct. Everyone has input on that.
We
but
did
it's
all have
a
the
discussion.
information this is about, but when we come to making the motions, we have maybe the representatives making it.
Because we should we make them all at one time? I mean, just go through the percentages, A, B, C, and.
No, I think we have to vote. We have to do, like, you can,
You're gonna
well, you can make the motion to approve Matthew's review.
2%, blah, blah, blah.
No, I think the way we did it tonight,
Okay.
we do the reviews, and then we do the increases.
We should probably do one motion for the $1,000 bonus each.
Yes.
Correct, yes,
That
yes,
could be
that is,
bundled.
that is
That
a
one could be
one.
bundled, but others would have to be individuals.
Bundle, it's like the.
But I think it needs to come from the advisory board. Like, Bill, you would do Matthew's, Phil would do Erica's, and then Dan, yeah, no, I know you're not, but
No,
Dan's not tough enough to crack, that's the problem.
What, to make the motion?
That, I don't know what he would feel about the numbers.
It won't
Why,
matter.
I don't know why you noticed it.
That's true too, okay.
At the end of the day, what do you lose?
He's been negative about
That's
the
true too,
review.
you're right. And he can only vote on Lois's anyway.
Whatever you think.
But if you've listened to Dan, he's been negative on the previous process.
Yes.
He serves on my board. He sees the direction this is going. He's looking forward to doing the post-mortem. Like, honestly, this is the kind of influence that, I mean, you guys have impacted over the year. He's on board with that. I mean, he's still your legend, but I mean,
Let's make some fun.
Yeah, exactly, that's why I like.
Stay off his lawn, you're fine.
Stay off his lawn.
Okay, so we don't need a motion, so we can.
No,
adjourn.
we can see about
I just, this is outstanding.
yes, I think so.
This was worth showing up for. The last one was not.
No, last year's sucked. The year before that sucked. This one, it was good.
This one,
January.
Fighting at each other. I think the way we need to look at it
So I can do that.
is individual, not,
Yeah.
well, so got this, so.
and the bonus check.
We all got close and we shut down, but we would like to see
Can we,
how
so
that's
let's
set
back
up.
up again. We have a
But that's up to
question.
them to decide, not us.
Can we do the bonus for December 1st? Is everybody okay with that?
Who's better?
Sure, yeah.
It's halfway through November already.
Can we, is that, meaning if we do it at the meeting, would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Vote.
Yeah, we'll vote on it and then it goes in November and it goes in for the first payroll in December.
Yeah.
No,
The next one.
oh, the second payroll of December. If
The
they can't-
second payroll in November, I'm ready to do on Monday, so.
No, let's put it in
We
the,
vote next Wednesday.
yeah, we'll vote.
The first one is December. We can do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't ratify anything at a special meeting.
No, we can't do anything.
And then can I just ask real quick, so
No.
we're doing Christmas, like that's the same one where all the employees are getting Christmas, like bonuses?
That's
That's
not,
up to the
that's up to
individual
the
directors.
directors. We don't deal with
Right,
that.
so do the directors get a Christmas bonus, or is this their Christmas bonus, or is this
Look at Christmas.
We've never done that.
We've never given the director's Christmas.
This is just gonna be a bonus.
Bonus?
No,
Yeah.
no title on it.
Got it. Okay, that's what I just
Because then next year they'll be like,
I wanna make sure.
They can technically get themselves
Could
one.
they could give themselves.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, they themselves,
They can.
it's different.
but then,
I don't think-
but during their review,
Yeah.
when then.
I don't have the numbers for that.
Now you receive.
Will they get their employees Christmas?
They do, yes, yeah.
It might have been storm.
I'm meeting with
I'm
them
sure
Monday,
that's
so.
out. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
See you. See you on it.
Thank you,
It's fine,
everybody.
but if you did.
Yeah, you're doing all of
Thank
it.
you, thank you.
Tell Lois that-
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna exit so she can go home.
We're gonna go to the
So
restroom.
when you're asking, you can,
There's
can
two,
only
right?
vote
I'm just dropping this.
Oh,
can
okay.
in.
direct. We don't get to vote on any of the other directors.
No, like when we do our finances and stuff, with that, if we approve the financial statement,
Yeah.
you can only vote on ours.
Okay.
I can't vote on ours.
And it's,
I don't really understand that
I don't either.
totally, but that is,
it's just a.
it's just a thing.
My grandson, he went to Vegas and I gave him $100. I won $15, but I lost 15.
It was my,
Bathroom.
I'm sure it's my $15.
He's in there, Sean.
I felt that way when I was in Vegas. I won money, but it cost me $100 to do it.
We have 2 minutes for a special.
Lois was recording it.
So hopefully that's going back.
I know.
You were bragging.
You know what we did? We put it in the books as entertainment.
There you go.
$80 or whatever it was. That's big enough.
That's good, you have your tomorrow.
Thank you,
Oh, yeah?
Saying the staff can have lunch money.
I think once we do the postmortem on this, I think it's gonna work out.
I'm just gonna
All right, we got some tweaking to do.
Let's do it right in my office, yeah.
You don't need to evaluate the score, you understand? The score. Because at the end of the
The
day.
scores-
I'll put these in the staff lounge.
Okay. And that's why, and I agree with Phil. We can make these more
Are you sure?
goal oriented, where the goals really hold the push.
Thank you.
And I'm making sure.
You're welcome. You know, we'll put in these scripts straight out, and then tomorrow I can put it out for the staff.
I'm not good at this.
They never snap on easy.
No, it was just me.
Okay.
You should have this.
Here at my other house, it's just like this, and it's garage is the same. You got that wall right there.
Yeah.
I gotta go, I'm gonna have to go.
I'll talk to Blake.
Yeah, no, I already, like,
Talk to Blake? Okay.
I already did all that.
I'm
Jessica, we got close, but it keeps trying to send the validation code. It sends it to the email I'm trying to create instead of to my
I
phone.
didn't hear that.
Oh,
Every time I try to put it back in,
no, don't worry
and I
about
did
it.
it with Jessica,
It's just for.
doesn't.
You have
Okay.
a text in there.
It's the old one.
We can't, I can't get it to go.
Because all I do is I go to Google account. I go to log in.
Yep.
J-Hole that get connects to that, or down-hole that get connects to that account. That's my password, which is my consent.
Talk to somebody who knows about.
And it brings me in, and then I go to mail.
I'll see if I can find someone.
Yeah, you know it, right?
Email. It keeps sending the validation code to the
My friend on the
email.
house is
Also,
He told me.
That's what he was saying.
I can't get it over. I can't get it set up on my phone. But I've got
And I won't do
I've got
that.
my own personal and my work on my phone. I can't get it.
Yeah, because
I can't get
here's
it.
my, because it's funky, and if it's cold, you're taking my
Like,
phone.
I meant to-
You're taking my phone. But if I go into Google,
Not sure hard.
Oh,
Here's some things you want to consider.
correct, correct.
It's definitely.
Tear out that.
Good night, Bond.
But I mean, it's-